Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Happy Friday, happy Friday. And we are in the building, you guys. And you know who else is in the building with us today? Nene Leakes and Bethany Frankel. We have to get to it, okay? Thanks for tuning in to Larger Curves today. On your way in, make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring that bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video, and so you can become part of the beautiful curvy community that we're growing in this YouTube streets. You know, the philosophy over here at Larger Curves is there's enough to go around because there is, you guys, and we just need to wrap our minds around it and go get what we want. Create a vision, make it plain, and go get yours, okay? Well, you know what part of my vision was? That Nene Leakes would finally get her due and her justice for going up against the machine and speaking truth to power. And it hasn't happened for her personally. But luckily, Bethany Frankel entered the chat. And, you know, some people in this world get listened to more than other people. And so, thank you, Clock. And so this was one of those times. Let's go through the history. Be sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring the bell. It helps me get to the algorithm. It helps more people come and find out about Larger Curves. You know, we're doing awesome things over here. We got your finance. We do your real estate. We keep you healthy. We keep you entertained. And I do recap, but I also recap in a different way. So I appreciate you for being here on Larger Curves today. And I really hope you're ready to dig in this Friday morning. Right after we leave here this Friday morning, we're going over to my good friend, Reality with Krista Marie, Whose Side Are You On Anyway podcast. So this will be some time. And then I'm going to go over there and help my friend Krista out because, like I said, I recap different. So today we're going to be talking about Nene Leakes. And wait, what happened? I can't hear my music. It sounds like it's lagging. I tell you guys about my ping issues all the time. But here, let's start here. So do you guys remember when this happened? Remember Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta? She was a star of that show. She was the breakout star of that show. And she even she took that show to new heights. She was one of the few stars that did a crossover to other shows. And, she was quite the urban legend and icon. And her star rose fast as the lead on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And then people felt like, fans, viewers, a lot of people felt like she got too big for her britches. And you can see this is Nene Leakes right here. So they said that she got too big for her britches. She started being thinking she was all that, irreplaceable, this, that, and the other. And you know, there are archetypes on shows, right? And we've learned this with my good friend, Dr. Heavenly, who's always telling us about the archetype and how she's playing her role. And that's the way they cast. That's what they expect from her. So that's what she gives them, right? But she's also evolved from that. Now, Nene Leakes came in a little humble, regular girl, blew up to the rich bitch, and then started going through stuff personally. And this is my timeline. Went through stuff personally and, broke up with her husband, got married back to her husband, and then They were attacked on the show a lot. He allegedly was seeing somebody at swag, all kind of stuff, right? And unbeknownst to us, but per Nene, she had been going for years. She was on the show for 12 years, and she had been going for years talking about wages, talking about we need a break, talking about can we get some health care, talking about mental health issues, talking about hostile workplace environments. And she was over the years talking about this stuff, unbeknownst to us and behind the scenes. And then nothing was happening. No change was happening. And as a viewer, we saw that. No change happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Things really got worse. And Nene wasn't the villain. Ken is the villain and remains the villain. And now she's trying to make Marlo the villain. But Marlo's not a villain. Ken is the villain. So, and they tried to make Nene the villain, but she's not a villain. She was just reading girls left and right, having a good time, right? But she knew what they expected from her. She told us at one point that she had even went from the production and was like, look, I don't want to be the one that's always reading people anymore. How about that? I don't want to be the one that's always doing this. And they wouldn't release her of that type of image being portrayed. Okay, fine. She dealt with it a little longer. The whole time we understand that Nene was the highest paid housewife, right? Kudos, Black girl. I love it. And deservedly so. Because on that Real Housewives of Atlanta, they're still searching for a number one, okay? They're still searching for a number one because Nene remains that girl for that franchise, okay? So then that thing happened where she closed her laptop at the reunion when they had to zoom in that time. And she closed her laptop and went and put it back on the porch so they could come pick it up during the vid. Remember, it was the beginning of the pandemic, and it was our first virtual reunion. They were, Bravo and the higher ups had no problem testing Zoom union on the Black cast. Okay. They had no problem doing that. And it was their highest rated show also. And we had to get to the mess. So fine, give us our reality. We didn't know what was going to go on. And so we ended up getting a reunion where they all piled on Nene after asking her to wear a different color. They had all the other ladies in white. Then they had Nene in black. Then she changed at the last minute. But she came in on that energy to that reunion, that final reunion she was at, remember? And she was very unbothered, but bothered by everything that had went down. Remember that? Let me see if I can show us that picture. So Nene's last reunion. Anyway, at that reunion, there we are. Remember this? Remember that? So they were like, oh, she did a virtual walk-off at 7:01. In real life, they walk off and don't come back. Cough, cough, Lisa Vanderpump. Right? In real life, they do that. But this year that happened with Nene, remember they were like, oh, nobody cannot go to the reunion unless you're a white lady from England named Lisa Vanderpump. But if you close your computer for the first ever virtual reunion, you should not expect to come back if you're on Atlanta and you're named Nene Leakes. So they used that as an opportunity to further alienate Nene. And subsequently, when negotiations came around the next season, they were playing hardball with her and dragging their feet on negotiations with her. And to the point where Nene came and was like, negotiations have soured. I won't be filming and I won't be coming back. And that was pretty much all she said. She didn't turn it really sour at that point. She was just like, fine. it didn't go anywhere. And I thought that was a smart business move on Nene's behalf, because didn't badmouth them. She didn't blame anybody. All she did was say negotiations didn't work out. And that was pretty much it. Well, after negotiations didn't work out, the other cast members started saying a lot of stuff. And they were saying that, she was off. She needs to take a hint. That's what Ken was saying, because Ken was chomping for the bit to try to be number one on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And those of you who don't know, Ken is Kenya Moore's nickname from her husband, Mark Daly. Yes, so that's why I call her Ken, because her husband does. So Ken was all too willing to go on any interview that would have her and spend most of her minutes talking about Nene Leakes, because Nene's the one. And she would say, oh, she should take a hint. She should this, she should that. And then after that, Nene Leakes ended up going online and talking about the problems she was having with you two, and about the coincidence. Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Let me see. Is it a coincidence? Here it is. This video, remember this one?
Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I asked you. Is it a coincidence?
So remember, that was after negotiations soured, that Nene was.
Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I asked you. Is it a coincidence?
That she was alleging that she had been blacklisted. And so the same time that Nene Leakes was having her issues with production, with Bravo, with negotiations, with all of that, she had other projects. Remember, Nene was on The New Normal. She was on Glee. She was on Broadway. She was on Dances with the Stars. She was she was the crossover queen for reality TV. The crossover queen for reality TV. And it fit right into her aesthetic, because she came on the show as an actress who would often go down during audition season to LA and rent a room with her and Greg, even before the show. And so when she decided to announce that negotiations had soured, simultaneously behind the scenes. Oh, hey, Shay B, thanks for being in the house. I see Shay B's comment is, respectfully, I disagree. She did it to herself. Well, I love you, Shay B, and I'd like to know, what did she do to herself? So, because what I'm talking about is the how Nene Leakes was blacklisted. And you can't blacklist yourself. It's virtually impossible to blacklist yourself. As an entertainer, you have a right to negotiate your contract. As an entertainer, you have a right to speak up for yourself and try to get the best working conditions so that it can be tolerable and great for your mental health. So I appreciate your comment so much, because that I was going to talk about how a lot of people feel like Nene, of all people, did it to herself, and somehow she's like an ungrateful person for getting paid and complaining at the same time. Now, the blacklisting in particular, I'm saying she couldn't have done that to herself, because Andy Cohen himself admitted that he did have conversations with people that were in charge of her upcoming programs. And he did go and tell them that she would like a lot of money. And he admitted that. And we understand that that was code for, oh, you're not going to want to deal with her because she's going to want too much money. Now, why would a person like Andy Cohen take time out of his busy schedule instead of being with his 2 new kids to take time out of his schedule to go to a project that his used to be star was working on to tell them about her salary requests? What could have driven that? I wonder what could have possibly been the motivation for Andy Cohen to take time out of his busy day at the house Nene Leakes helped him build to go to a new project and sour her reputation in front of the new people that are in charge of it, thus resulting in them not messing with Nene because it was going to cost too much? But she did it to herself. Okay, Black people always do it to themselves. I know. We always the victim, the villain, and the doer and the don'ter. We always are. I know people expect a lot more from Nene than they do other people. And I say,
Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I asked you, is it a coincidence?
I think not. That's not a coincidence that this man from Bravo, who you helped build his house, is now going to the other houses you're about to help build and putting a sour taste in their mouth and talking ill about you behind your back, besmirching your name, and messing with your reputation. But she did it to herself. I also will never be in support of putting pause on people. Who does that? Yeah, who does that, Teresa? Who does that, Jackie? Who does that, Danielle? Who does that, Jennifer? Who does that, freaking Marge? Who does that, Tamra? Who does that? Who does that? I wonder. I'm not in support of that either. I'm all team keep your hands to yourself over here. But I respectfully disagree that she could not have possibly blacklisted herself, nor did she do this to herself. And we're going to get into it because you know what? After Nene was let go, we know what happened next. Nene went ahead and finally let us know with what Nene was dealing on the show for all that time. Okay. And let's see, there was another place. Oh yeah. So the whole putting her in black instead of white, did she do that to herself? No. And so then she ended up suing him, you guys. Remember this? Where'd it go? Right here. Bam. On stage. So then Nene Leakes on Wednesday in April 2022, she sued producers in production, Truly Entertainment and Truly Original, who are behind her production of Real Housewives of Atlanta, for fostering a corporate workplace in which racially, I don't know if I can get back into this article, I already opened it. Okay. She attested in that article. Let me see something real quick. So she here it is. Let's see if this one will come open. Because you know how when you click on too many articles, they make you want to subscribe these days. And I had it open for us and being prepared, and then it disappeared. Let's see if this one open. I sure hope it did happen too. Sue Bravo for hostile work environment, for fostering a hostile work environment. That here it is. Okay, so she sued them, and she even named Andy Cohen. Now, I just told you what Andy Cohen specifically did to her. And she also alleged that they all allowed a racist, hostile work environment, and there were rules and they were supposed to apply to everyone. But as often, the second set of more favorable rules seemed to apply to white Zolciak Bierman, who's actually getting a divorce right now. Zolciak decided not to attend the trip, and the actress claims that that led to her being publicly attacked by Zolciak and her daughter. And they said her new home was roach infested. Miss Leakes and some of her fellow Black housewives were outraged at the claim that Miss Leakes' house was roach infested. That is usually a slight against, it's a racially offensive slight, and it has cultural implications of of being a poor Black person. So they're standing in this woman's custom made house and being like, oh, look, there's roaches. Like she is always just going to have roaches. So it was just suggesting that Nene was living above what she deserved. So the lawsuit also included emails from the network told Leakes that it was bad for business to call out Zolciak over her alleged racist remarks and instructed her to take it offline, you guys. Now, this is simultaneously while Candy's Speak on It is allowed to exist. During the same time, Candy's Speak on It was existing online. She was the only one on that show allowed to be online talking about her stuff like anything. They demanded that Nene Leakes quiet and not bring attention to what she already brought up to them in private about this hostile work environment by keeping it offline. And they hurled accusations of concern against her in court. The executive raised concern about her social media, her response to perceived racially offensive attack by Zolciak. And then something about a tax lien was hit in there. But they used those issues. NBC, Bravo, and True used the issues to justify having concern about Nene Leakes' professional future, and then justified it for silencing her during this time and period. In contrast to other non-Black housewives, were allowed to do much worse without consequence or even threat of consequence, Nene claimed. Okay. And that the tax lien attack was clearly retaliatory because it was already brought to the network's attention in 2016. So why are you not bringing it up on camera until I brought to your attention that there's racism in your house and this is a hostile work environment? So that does clearly scream that it was retaliatory to me because it was in 2016, but Nene brought it on herself. A lot of people still want to. So that was part of the suit. Now we know that that happened in 2022, you guys. 2022. And nothing came of it. She ended up getting crucified online to the point Bravo never even responded to Nene Leakes, you guys. And that's part of racism too. I've done many of videos over here about my opinions and how allegedly Bravosphere in general harbors racist leaning people and full-on criminals and rewards abhorrent behavior with spin-offs and raises. Okay? I've made a number of videos about that. So when this Black woman accused them of being racist in a hostile work environment, I was like, yay, finally, somebody who works there said something, because I'm just a viewer with my meager YouTube channel wanting to scratch my eyeballs at times from having to witness this stuff during entertainment. It's triggering. As a Black person, that during entertainment, I have to watch stereotypes be televised globally for people around the world to think that they can interact with me and call me bitch as an endearment. No. So I've been speaking about this for a long time. I was so happy when Nene finally did it, right? But Bravo didn't even respond. And they're the ones that put her in a contract with that arbitration clause, which basically meant that the lawsuit that she filed went nowhere because they referred her back to her arbitration mediation clause, which means we're supposed to talk. That clause means you have a problem and we're supposed to talk to you about it, person. But what has Bravo done? They have ignored her cries. They have ignored her complaints. They have relegated her to obscurity and made it seem like she's just a bothersome person who should. And Andy Cohen himself has said this. Oh, how appreciative he is of humble, grateful Black girls over there on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Cough, cough, Cynthia. Cough, cough, Candy. He loves them when they're humble. He loves saying, oh, you're just so grateful and humble to them. And that's always a slight to Nene, who spoke truth to power. I read through all these lines, and I have been for a long time. But I'm also from Oakland, the home of the Black Panthers. So I see stuff that I don't really even want to see, but it's in me to see it and then call it out so that we can all be aware and move around in this world on a level playing field, because that was abusive. So our girl Nene was left on an island, because then we also know that Bravo did what Bravo does whenever a Black girl says that there's racism. They run over to all the other Black people on the same show and say, do you think there's racism? 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 And then, of course, they all say no because they see what happened to fucking Nene. Oh, no, nothing to see here. I just said that on my social media because it happens in the world, but not here. That's what Candace Diller Bassett did. I was so disappointed in her. Real Housewives of Potomac called out the colorism that Candace Diller Bassett and Wendy Osefo, the two dark chocolate melanated sisters on that show, because everybody else is high yellow. And I can say that because I can. And those are two brown girls, and they're the light-skinned ones. And the light-skinned ones get to say, do, and act in ways that the dark-skinned ones don't. And when the dark-skinned ones call it out, then they get put on the spot on the reunion couch to have to talk about it. But they already told her, you better not say nothing about it. As we've witnessed from past patterns established with Nene Leakes. I'm now feeling like that scene in Real Housewives of Potomac when Candace and them had to sit their asses up there and say, nothing to see here, folks, but in the world, be sure to call it out, was BS then, and it's BS now. And I'm very, okay, Candace. Candy girl. I was very disappointed. But I was glad that Wendy Acefo picked up the slack on that particular thing. And then over here on VH1, we just had a whole colorism, racism talk over there. They love doing this for their entertainment. Put us on these shows and have us talk amongst ourselves about racism and colorism in the world. But it's all been started by white people, but they never want white people on the shows to talk about it because then it's offensive because they usually say shit that gets them in way more trouble. But it's a disservice to turn to black girls on your platform that you pay to be there after you've blackballed and blacklisted the black girl that did speak to you about it, and then put them on camera and dare them to say something. But at the same time, have it on the cameras for all the whole world to see about how we argue amongst ourselves about our skin color. So that was only to make it less harmful when other races do it to us, because you see, even there's colorism over there amongst themselves. So that means that Nene's cries of racism are illegitimate because look, over there on the other show, they're fighting amongst themselves too. You guys have to get with the freaking program that's happening. All this stuff is with intention and design to not only make us who are the receivers of racism and discrimination the villains for being in a race wherein there is the same thing as, East Indians have it. Any place there's lighter and darker skinned people, it's going to be there. Everybody wants the fairest skin of the land unless you got that melanin tan. So it's not only in African American culture, it's not only in black spaces where this happens. It's anywhere that there's skin that's lighter or darker, because then you're automatically assigned to a treatment based off the hue of your skin in every culture and every race. But it lessens Nene's cries of racism to follow it up with the colorism. The only thing they ever said was something about the colorism between the two black girls. And then they said there's nothing to see there. That something happened on Real Housewives of New York. Ramona is racist leaning, people. Ramona has issues. Luann, she crossed the line telling that black lady with more degrees that her degrees didn't mean shit because there's more to education than just books. Bitch, you better put some respect on her name. Even that was what people like to call a microaggression. I call that shit what it is. That was racist, bigoted remark. And Luann should have got checked for it too. Of all people on Real Housewives of New York, when they introduced Ebony K. Williams and it put hyper focus on their obvious race problem over there on the New York franchise, they took a whole hiatus. They took the show off the air instead of have those white ladies sit around and talk about racism, you guys. So you see my point? Took the show off the air, didn't even give us a reunion. We could have got a Zoom reunion like they did with Nene, but nope, they didn't want to have to put the ladies through that over there. Nope. Don't want them to be upset about nothing. No. And everybody forgot about it already anyway. Why drag it up from the past? So they wouldn't have to talk about their racist leaning tendencies and their discriminatory, bigoted remarks. Ramona sitting at the Black Shabbat talking about I was more oppressed than black people. Bitch. And then didn't even have a reunion to say, I apologize for being an insensitive cow. I was very, ooh. And then gonna bitches on other shows and then give us a new cast of a lot of women of color as a consolatory prize, a consolation prize for not demanding that they address that racist bullshit we saw in that season. So that means that they acknowledged there was a problem with that show, because the way that they revamped it and served it to us was everything that it needed to be addressed. Bravo be playing in our mother plucking faces, y'all. Oh, there was no racism on RHOA. And then to prove it, they bring back an all people of color cast. But nothing to see here, folks, because we can never let this lady be right. We can never let this lady be right. Okay? We're not going to let that happen. So ultimately, Nene ended up dropping her lawsuit, going off into the sunset. Everybody's still chomping at the bit for her. People, I'm still part of the fucking boycott for Real Housewives of Atlanta. I never watched another freaking episode in real time. They never got another view from me in real time, you guys, after the treatment they did to Nene. All those other hosts can starve to me. You need to stand up with your black sestra and help her overcome what you guys are all experiencing. And now, look, 3 years later, here comes Nick Ken is talking about the horrible behavior. And some other people are like, oh, things were right, are horrible. Nene was right. But Nene never even had a conversation with them. And Bravo never responded to Nene. So now we fast forward to this year. Everybody may or may not know Vanderpump Rules, also a Bravo show, had Scandival. And Scandival was a sex thriller over on Vanderpump Rules. And when they had that all happen, there was a girl on that show. Her name on the show was Raquel. And Raquel was in an obvious, I said it, I've done videos about that too. To me, Raquel was in an obvious mentally fragile place. She had just broke up with an abusive, to me, in my opinion, allegedly, an abusive James Kennedy, who admitted on camera that he smushed her new nose after she had just gotten a nose job. And then he would verbally tease her about her nose on the show and tell her, why would you think I would ever want to be with an ugly one like you? Look at that nose. After he mushed her nose right after surgery, you guys. That's fucking abuse. And then we know for a fact he was emotionally abusive to her. And then they break up. She starts boinking Tom Sandoval, another person on the show's boyfriend of 10 years, who got her boyfriend, Tom Sandoval, from boinking him when he was with another one named Kristen, who was boinking Jax when she was with Tom, Jax was boinking Stassi because they lived together. And Stassi was best friends with Kristen, who Jax was boinking on the couch at Tom's house, when Kristen was living with Tom. So then that made Tom upset, and he started boinking Ariana on the couch that everybody boinked on. And they had been in a relationship for 5 years, okay? Kristen and Tom, when Ariana started boinking him. 5 years, living together, paying rent together, paying bills. That's established, y'all. Ariana didn't think twice about opening her legs for that man. I'm telling you, Tom Sandoval must know how to put it down. I don't really know. He doesn't really give me BDE, but he gives me fun in bed. He gives me a lot of fun in bed. He probably has you feeling like you are the dime of all times, having fun, laughing in between. He might go into different characters. He might want to put on your dress and your shoes and boink you that way. He seemed like he might be a fun lay, but he's definitely not BDE for all these girls to be like, you know, um, dropping it like that for him. Anyway, so the whole show was built on everybody boinking. I'm going to bring it back to Nene. It all ties in. So on that show, it gets revealed that Raquel is boinking Tom. Everybody's like, oh my God, Ariana, how could you? I mean, Raquel, how could you? You're Ariana's best friend. Oh my God. Okay. And Raquel is like, well, I thought this is what we do on the show. Pretty much. I thought this is what we do on the show. I've been here for 5 years, and all I've witnessed on this show is James boinking Lala and lying to me about it. Jack's boinking that person and lying to everybody about it. That person boinking and 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 that person smashing. And everybody on the whole entire show was boinking. But for some reason, they crucified Rachel, the doe-eyed, the Bambi, that's what they called her, Bambi-eyed bitch. She looked so innocent, you guys. That's why when it first came out, I was like, no, she's not. I'll believe it when I hear it from her mouth. So when she finally said it, I had to believe it, you guys, because she looked so innocent to me. I was like, no way. Right? Well, after the public annihilation of Raquel, the death threats, everybody on the show turned their back on her for doing exactly what everybody else did on the show. The girl ended up in freaking treatment in a mental health facility, getting treatment on how to make better decisions so she doesn't get talked out of her panties by freaking playboys anymore under the guise that they see her. So it was huge. So Bethany Frankel from Real Housewives of New York, who never said anything to agree or edify Nene's complaints as a fellow housewife in the Bravo sphere. Nobody ever edified or co-signed on this stuff with Nene said. But after the Scandival, Bethany Frankel got activated. Now, we know that Bethany Frankel and Nene Leakes are two different people. And there are very obvious differences that make all the difference in this conversation because it lends itself to my point and Nene's point about the racist leaning tendencies of Bravo. Because what happened was Bethany, she's been off of the show for a long time. She has a podcast, she had a talk show, and seeing how Rachel got treated activated Bethany because she was like, oh my God, what if that happened to my daughter? And she was dragged through the streets as a scarlet letter whore for the things that everybody else on the show does. But Bethany also said she didn't watch the show, and people that were upset about that and felt like she didn't have a right to be upset that Rachel got treated this way if you aren't emotionally invested for the last 10 seasons. I don't think you have to be emotionally invested in a show to see wrong or to point out wrong or to speak truth to power or to make a educated decision. Right? So Bethany Frankel took it upon herself to interview Rachel because Raquel, she was on the show, she went to treatment, and she decided that she wants to be her normal self, Rachel. So Bethany had Rachel on a couple months ago, here in 2023. And Nene's lawsuit was what, 2020? She dropped it by 2022. So 3 years later, Bethany decides that she's going to do the reality reckoning. And everybody is up in arms because Bethany now, the white girl, is speaking truth to power, you guys. Oh, imagine that. I wonder, oh my God. Now Bethany's the other golden child of the Bravo sphere. She broke out. She didn't need them. They still call her to this day. All this stuff. She was in good standing with them when all of this stuff happened. But after seeing everything that happened with Rachel along the same times, the freaking Actors Guild is striking. Now I reminded you, Nene talked about you guys needed, not you guys, the housewives, the Bravo celebrities, reality stars needed benefits, better pay, they needed breaks, they needed mental health checks, and they needed not to have a hostile work environment. Those were all the things that Nene was talking about. Okay? 3 years ago, nobody said shit. 2023. Now, this reality reckoning, I guess, started around August 2023, you guys, based off right here, Mashable. So that's August. We're only in September, so not even a month has this been happening. Not even a good 6 weeks, I'll give it, right? Maybe 7. And so in her reckoning, Bethany, her self-described reality reckoning, started July 19th. Sorry, so July, August, September. 2 months in, it just made 60, 70 days. 70 days since a white lady said exactly what Nene said. A lot has happened, you guys. Oh, I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. That because did Nene bring that on herself too? Or was Nene just not the right color for people to decide and listen to? Okay. Huh? Was it? I don't know. Was it a coincidence? Because in this reality reckoning that started on the 19th, in an Instagram video, the Skinny Girl founder and Bravo celebrity demanded studios pay the stars residuals they deserve. That was how she started. But then it evolved into how they were treated and more stuff about their mental health. And she started talking to other Bravo celebrities and all of these stories about being plied with alcohol under his. All this stuff was coming out. Exactly the same stuff that Nene had pointed out before, you guys. Okay? And but she had a plane and took the supplies to the kids in Haiti or wherever it is. And so obviously you should listen to Bethany more than you should listen to Nene. Oh, and plus Bethany was all the way off the show after she made her millions. Wait, no, that's the same thing. Bethany and Nene both stayed for over a decade on these shows and were paid handsomely while they were being a form of abused in their eyes. Both of them. But everybody always, the excuse for not believing Nene is wrong, messenger. She shouldn't have been making $2 million while she was at work and stayed there. She should have just left. That sounds like the daftest statement I've ever heard. There's a movie called Dumb and Dumber. That would be the movie called Dumbest. What person do you know that's going to walk away from $1 million bag, even if it is hard times over there? No, you're going to go to HR and try to make it okay so that you can get a $3 million bag at the same place, because if it wasn't a hostile work environment, it could be great over here. But no, everybody was so mad that black lady made money and then complained instead of know her place and be grateful and humble. Oh my God. Oh my God. She should have just, whoa, how dare she bite the hand that feed her? She can't expect to tell her boss that he's a racist and have her job. She can't expect to make complaints and then still have a job and think that she can still work. Oh my God. But none of those statements have been being made while Bethany Frankel's reality reckoning has been going on. None. And that's further proof of just the overall bias in our world that black women go through. Now I'm going to get to the real good part, you guys. Here it is. Let me see. What is it? Hopefully you guys are having a great time. Smash that like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell. And I don't usually ask for support, but hey, if you feel like supporting the channel, that could be a lovely Friday for me. That would be excellente if you felt like supporting the channel, because StreamYard is due in a couple of days, you guys. StreamYard is due. But here, let me show you guys this right here. Be sure you're smashing that like button. It gets me in the algorithm. And let me see if I can't get to this photo that I'm looking for. That's I'm like, this is what I feel like happened to Nene compared to the other one. But let's keep on talking. So now, like I told you, Bethany's reality reckoning started July 19th. And I also told you that in 2020, after she closed her screen, freaking Nene got blacklisted and never got to work again. I told you guys that, right? So they still have yet to have a conversation with Nene Leakes after 3 years of complaining to HR. All she got was retaliation, which in California, she would have had another lawsuit against that shit because it's against the law to retaliate against a whistleblower in California. But I guess if you in Atlanta, you can, that shit though, that doesn't matter. Yeah. But in a matter of 70 days, you know what? Bravo responded to Bethany, you guys. Oh my word. Really? 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 Let's get this up here for you guys. I want to show you. They have not put a comma on a response for Nene Leakes. Okay? But let's see. Here it is. This is NBC Universal's comments and immediate response to when the white lady, Bethany Frankel, reiterated many of the complaints that our girl Nene Leakes brought to our attention and was fighting for more than 3 years, but finally sued over 3 years ago. Not a fucking response, you guys. I want you guys to really pay fucking attention. I'm stirred over this. I'm stirred as a black person that this shit is still fucking happening. They didn't even respond to Nene, you guys. And this white lady has a response already. Oh, shit! Fucking world. Oh, anyway. Let me woosah. Let me fucking woosah. Because in a way, this is further en masse programming people to respond to white cries and not black cries. But you guys don't hear me. Oh, you guys don't understand. It's okay though. It's okay. Let's see. Okay, well, I can't even find the meme, but I had posted a meme a long time ago about when a Black woman is struggling. And the picture was, just picture this. So it's a woman in water. You can't see how close or how far she is from the shore. She's flailing, like she's waving her hand. And she looks distressed. And a boat comes up. But if you really look at the picture, you see the lady's a little lower in the water. So she's obviously drowning, you guys. And this boat comes up and gives her hand a high five and keeps on going, and the Black lady drowns. And that's pretty much what it's like to be freaking Black. Our cries are ridiculed, not validated. We always have some shit to get over. We're just angry. You're just being emotional. Oh, that happened so long ago. Oh, but you got paid. Just name some bullshit. And that's another reason for Black people to get over it, specifically Black women. And I'm done with that shit. Personally. But this experience and just being a viewer of this stuff is triggering, because I understand the deeper programming that's going on with this is that you don't have to respond to Black complaints. Fuck it when a Black woman is screaming about being in pain. Fuck it. She can take it. She's a strong Black woman. And remember, even Nene was like, I don't want to be strong all the time. No, I'm saying that Nene got paid. The complaint with Nene, mademoiselle, was that, oh, well, she got paid $2 million. Why was she complaining? She stayed. That's what I'm saying. So in that instance, Nene got paid. So she was supposed to just shut up and take it. That's specifically what I'm talking about. And just in general, like if we have a job, if something's wrong at the job and we go complain, they usually treat you like you should just shut up and be glad you have this job, even though you're getting paid 50 cents less on the dollar than anybody white in this place. But you just need to shut up and be happy about your circumstances, because they could be worse, and they really could for a lot of people. So anyway, NBC Universal responded within 60 days when Bethany cried. Their response says NBC Universal is a parent company in Bravo and all that stuff. And Bravo, Oxygen, USA, E, Peacock, and CNBC. Bethany had also complained about everybody being under a form of NDA where they couldn't really speak about stuff. And so her and her lawyers were demanding that everybody be released of their NDA so that they could speak about any problems that were going on and basically speak truth to power. So Bravo responded by saying, the NDAs are to protect storylines and do not forbid or prohibit them from speaking out or to report any mistreatment per the statement. But Nene already shared emails where they told her, STFU, bitch. Take it offline. But now they're coming back saying, oh, that doesn't happen. So they're calling them confidentiality clauses or standard practice in reality programming to prevent disclosure of storylines prior to air. The spokesperson told Variety, they are intended to prevent disclosure by cast and crew of unlawful acts in the workplace that have not been enforced in that matter. To be clear, any current or former cast or crew is free to discuss and disclose any allegedly unlawful acts in the workplace. such as harassment or discrimination, or any other conduct they have reason to believe is inappropriate. We are working with our third-party production companies to remind all casting crew that they are encouraged to report any concerns through the channels made available by the production company so the concerns can be promptly addressed. So that was their first statement. But the point is, they got a motherfucking statement, you guys. Nene hasn't even had a comma, a period, a hyphen, a semicolon. We're not even getting the 3 blinking lines that somebody's about to respond on her shit. But thank God for Bethany. Thank God, thank God, thank God. And even Nene is willing to let a win be a win. Okay, let's look right here. Okay, here we go. Quick. So, Bethany Frankel, after her interview with Rachel, got so much traction, and she was so activated and stirred at the mistreatment of reality stars. And of course, people like me and even Nene was like, well, maybe they'll listen to somebody else. Okay, let's listen to this real quick.
You guys have to.
She just interviewed Nene this morning.
Be strong.
What about friendships? You
Here.
have dietary needs and cuisine type, from nonprofits to the Fortune 500.
Emma Mayfield saves the day with butterscotch.
So we can.
I want to have someone on if there's something really to discuss, if it's coming out of me. So today our guest is Nene Leakes.
Oh, I hear a round of applause. Amazing. I am here, girl.
You are here,
I
and
am
so
here.
we're in Connecticut.
Yes, we are.
You and I talked a couple times. You sounded very different than I've ever heard you. And the first thing I wanted to say, just overall, is, are you okay?
I'm better. I'm better. There was a time when I wasn't okay, but I am better now. And I know that I'm going to be okay.
So you're in a transitional state.
I think so. I get my head a lot. I don't even know if you know what that means. Sometimes I'm like really in my head. I've never been an overthinker, and now I have become an overthinker.
I know.
You know, I'm overthinking everything. I'm in a place in my life where I kind of like don't trust nobody.
I know.
Like I never wanted to be that person ever in my life. And so now I'm like looking at everybody like, okay, so what they're trying to do, so what they're trying to say, what they're trying to set me up with, you know. So and I hate that kind of.
Of course. And I've always called you the GOAT. You said you used to be at the top of Rushmore. You were my first Mount Rushmore. And I don't give that many people credit. And I feel like I've always given you credit. And as I thought about having you on many times, it was just like I would have just been having you on to have you on as a great guest. But something just sort of came to be recently. And it was just, you commented on post of mine and vice versa. But I posted something recently. You commented. I commented back because I sort of felt like you needed an internet hug. I can't explain it. I had like an energy about like you needed to be included in something. Where you gave me a high five. You said cheers to you, and I was like cheers to us. Effectively. And I just felt, and I loved. And I felt like you needed an internet hug. And then I just said to my producers, now it's time, because I told them a million times, call me, don't call me, call me, call me. So this week I said I'm positive, and then I've been texting you, and then you called me, and then I really started to realize what an actually good idea this was, better than I even thought, because I heard you fragile. I heard you a little frayed.
Yeah.
I did say to you, you are in your own head, and I think you don't even know how people perceive you. You're skewed, and I felt that you are having a lack of trust. Like everything you just said, it was coming through. And then we spoke. I spoke to someone from your team and a friend, and I was absolutely. I said to my team, we should have this happen soon. She wants to do it soon, and she may cancel. She may cancel because I think she's very fragile.
Yeah, I'm back and I'm back and forth. That's all I can tell you. One day I'm really good, the next day I'm not good, the next day I'm okay. I'm just kind of back and forth. And so when I saw your post on Instagram, I honestly felt like, may I be really honest?
Yeah.
I honestly felt like.
By the way, completely honest today.
Yeah, I honestly felt like, okay, so, my heart wanted to say a win is a win. And
this was about a post that Bravo is now implementing better workplace conditions, controlling cocktail consumption, and it was sort of either a leaked or a found letter from the higher up, and it was a big win overall, even though it wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. It was basically a admission that the shit had gone sideways, and the reality reckoning was real. And Nene commented, and say it again.
I started feeling like, in that moment, I felt like that happened really fast. That's how I felt when I saw it. Like, they heard her. Like, it was shocking to me.
I know. And you've alluded to it in some of your interviews, and I know that, and we're going to get into all that because I know that you've had a different experience, some different issues, but we're both on the same side of this. And so I know that it took you a lot to say to me. And I knew that it it was completely authentic, but it was wrapped in a message. Oh, they heard you. For me to be like, and they didn't hear you. But that's why I said to you, they heard us. I wanted to sort of wrap
Yes.
you into it and not
Yes.
leave you alone.
I do believe that a win is a win. I do believe that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I say a win is a win. It doesn't matter, you know, who slam dunk, as long as we get the job done, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're on the same team and we have some of the same message. So your voice was heard, mine wasn't. It doesn't matter. Yours was heard.
Well, yours is heard now, and I recognize coming into this interview and at all times.
You guys, so this is the interview that just dropped this morning on Just Be, Bethany's podcast. It's a 2-part interview. I would encourage you to go there and listen to all of it. But I wanted us to, for the second part of this live, now we're going to get into these two people meeting up. I'm very proud of Nene that she was able to go over there and humble herself and just be like, okay, a win is a win. And also acknowledge that they heard somebody who wasn't this Black woman. And Bethany has always been a ballsy chick. Her and her New York attitude has gotten her quite far. And I appreciate that she's talking to Nene. However, I don't know. I don't feel like she's really trying to be like white savior, as some people have said, but I feel like she understands she's in a privileged position because she's white, and they'll probably listen to her because she's white, and they did. And now let's go back and include the person where I got the idea from when I didn't support her 3 years ago. And that's another thing. I don't know if they've even ever talked about why didn't you speak out about the stuff when I said something, Bethany? And I've said that in another video too, that's my tug with this reality reckoning, is that I agree with some people that it's a little self-serving, because she wasn't working with Bravo 3 years ago, and she could have supported Nene then and lended her voice then to help something happen then, but maybe it wasn't the right time either. Everything's Kairos, God's time, perfect timing. So everything ultimately happens when it's supposed to. But I would have appreciated even hearing about a reach out to Nene from Bethany during that time, to now have her on your podcast talking about, oh, I felt like you needed to be included. Okay, I hope you're following me.
Going to have a different experience in the world and in entertainment and in reality TV than I am. You're a Black woman and only you speak to that. I cannot speak to that. So I was thinking too, like, I know Nene and I've told people, but I don't really know you. I don't know how you grew up. I don't know your relationship history, your family. I don't know if you grew up poor.
So this first whole half, I wanted us to hear that about how Nene was gracious enough to say a win is a win. And it's just like in a basketball game. That was basically, I did the layup, you made the shot. Okay? Kobe for the shot. Okay? But that was a very humble thing for Nene, because that shows to me that Nene is about the overall, what she was complaining about, and not just about her and her paycheck. Like, she knows that what she sacrificed her career 3 years ago to bring this up. Now, 3 years later, she's sitting with Bethany, who's finally heard. And now everything's going to get heard. She's included. Her voice is going to be heard by proxy to this white woman's voice. And at least now I finally get to say it. So I was very pleased about this overall interview. I will tell you, the whole first part 1 is a walk down memory lane with Nene from her childhood, being raised with her aunt instead of her mom, and always feeling like her mom didn't really want her, because then her mom, when she got older, had other kids and she wouldn't do Nene's hair, and she lived with her auntie, and her auntie had a great husband, but he was alcoholic and a little verbally abusive, and she kind of now realizes that ended up being the type of dude that she liked, kind of a little verbally abusive. But after fully experiencing that in her first love relationship, she decided that if anybody even raised their voice to her or looks cross-eyed at her, that's not the person for her. So she didn't stay in that cycle long. She talked about her and Greg. She talked about her and her brother. And then she talked about getting to the show. So let's go to that part.
And their job is, and the thing is, I talk about this, and we're about to get into it. So I say that they're all different, but there are many similarities, and even that franchise could be nice and perfect, and New York could be sloppy and dirty. Like, everybody thinks it's like one group just producing the entire franchise. And by the way, I explained that a franchise is like a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. Each store is managed differently. So Atlanta has a different management team, and that franchise could be nice and perfect, and New York could be sloppy and dirty. Like, everybody thinks it's like one group just producing it. It's not. It's different little production companies that are producing, and that's a different franchisee. So I say that they're all different, but there are many similarities, and many of the producers go from one to the other. They're like a traveling circus that go and move around. And their job is, and the thing is, I talk about this, and we're about to get into reality reckoning, but that is the upside down, because what's celebrated on reality TV, if you tell someone to go fuck themselves and you out them and you say something and it's really explosive and it's going to change the season, you get rewarded. In every other area of your life, and what we're teaching our kids to do in any other world, that would not be okay. So if Jane drinks 12 margaritas and she's an alcohol, that's true. But by having it everywhere, and by people being sleep deprived and stressed, and it being, it being celebrated, it's an environment prone to drinking, screaming, shouting, stressing, sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I've never been told to drink alcohol. I personally like alcohol. So they don't have to tell me. I'm just gotta thank you. Oh, you gotta drink.
But don't you feel like you drank more doing it? Because I do.
Probably.
I mean,
I learned because you learn. As time goes. I've definitely been drunk on camera before, but you do learn as time go on. Like we're doing a scene today. Okay, so I need to be very conscious, honey. I have a drink. I will have a drink. I'll sip out of it. I need to be very conscious. So you learn. As you say on the show, you learn how to do it. Some people don't. Some people need a drink to take it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I often did. I thought it was a good idea. You and I are both, we played the game very, very well, and we watched just like two athletes watching each other's team play. I'm sure you've watched me play. Yeah. I'm sure I definitely watched you play. And then watching you play, I sometimes saw you at reunions double down on being frustrated or furious, and not like I said what I said. Like, right. You always stuck to it, but sometimes in a way that I thought was like imploding. Like, it was doing damage to yourself. Like, you could just sort of hear what people were saying, absorb it, go a little calmer, a little gentler. And instead, I always watched you double and triple down. And I thought, you're going to make more trouble for yourself. You're going to make more, like, you're going to add gasoline to the fire. And I want to talk about that. Like, your style to me was like, fuck you and fuck all of you. And I don't give a fuck what you say. And that's what happened. And that's it. And it would be like no receiving of what anyone was saying. That's what I saw sometimes.
I feel like, I am the kind of person, for me, I keep it real.
Because you're playing the game a little. Because you're a little afraid.
Right.
And
I don't think everybody wants 100.
That's so interesting. Because it's funny that you say that. We're going to get into the closet and all that stuff. It's funny you say that. By the same token, when watching, there's a respect that I have for it. In the way that you did keep it 100, because you're like, and we said it. Can we move on, motherfucker? Like, there's something about that I like, because there's something about me, because
Bethany's putting a little 10 on it. Nene never really called anybody a motherfucker.
The thing is about society today, everybody fucking wants you to be totally real, but they don't really. Because if you really say what you think, if I say that I thought that Taylor Swift was over the top a little with the guy at the Kansas City Chiefs game, which I did, everybody says I'm bashing. I'm not bashing. I'm just saying a feeling that I had in my body, but you're not allowed to express. You're not allowed to have an opinion.
Again, you have to keep it about 75.
Interesting. That's a great line. That's a great. By the way, you should coin that.
I think that you keep it about 75. Now, I think keeping it 100, you can keep it 100 with your very close circle.
Keeping it 75, it's brilliant. It's so, and it's a little sad. It's a little sad because it's
but
not.
It's okay though. Because I'm gonna give you a little bit real, and then I'm gonna hold the rest back.
Are you keeping it 100 today or 75?
No, I'm keeping it about 82.
Well, hopefully we're gonna get
82.
Raise the fucking rate because
She's funny. So then the part 2 of the that was the end. That was wrapping up part 1.
When you're the one responsible for ordering food for work, you know what's involved. Finding and vetting restaurants, keeping track of all the receipts, and then there's making sure everyone's dietary needs are.
You keep getting all these things. All the girls to be in my house back and forth, and we.
I know.
With cancer.
Things are going on. Yes. So the closet, and what else is closet? That scene.
Your journey.
Okay, so that was Bethany and Nene talking about and acknowledging the persona of Nene. And Bethany was acknowledging that even as a viewer, she kind of felt Nene was a little hyphy, and I don't really hoorah, motherfucker. Like Nene wasn't like that in my eyes. I just felt like Nene was a reader. She wasn't like really a cuss you out, but I guess that's a perception interpretation. But she did admire that about Nene. But she also acknowledged that she felt like Nene was doing a disservice to herself for being herself, basically, and standing 10 toes down, and acknowledging her own emotions in a way during those reunions where she would just be like, I said what I said, you know? And Bethany is right. Nene needs to definitely make sure that she freaking gets that shirt together, because Bethany will do it. Bethany will have shirts out tomorrow. Okay, so I hope Nene goes and puts her shit on a shirt so that we can get the shirt. All right. So now part 2 is going to open up with the infamous closet scene. Now that a lot of people, when they do, in my opinion, when they do co-sign on the fact that Nene somehow deserved what she got, that she self-imploded, that she brought it on herself, they often refer back to the closet scene. Everybody remembers her house wasn't done. She had those bitches over, even though her husband was sick. She asked everybody not to go in her closet. And then, of course, somebody on production got in those hoes' ears and told them, go in the closet. Let's upset Nene in our sacred space. Fuck what Nene said. Let's get her riled up. And then when they got the reaction they got, then Nene was wrong. So it's always a problem when you react, but never a problem when you're antagonized. Let's listen at that.
The closet, that scene in the closet, that was so famous. And again, and I think I wrote about it, I kind of understood. I know that there was like, you chose violence or someone chose violence. I kind of understood you being pissed off that someone was in your closet and what else is going on, which is always the thing about reality TV. You come into a scene, you haven't slept, you're upset, something else happened. All they're doing is crystallizing this scene as if, oh, you're at a lunch. Why would you act that way at a lunch? But a lot of other things are going on. So that scene was very like pivotal on the show. It was like a big thing.
I don't know why it was such a big thing. This is what let me tell you about that. So the day before my husband was admitted to the hospital with cancer, I said to the producers, I don't think I should, shoot this scene. We were doing what we call a bi-wig party, meaning everybody must take out their wigs and their extensions and come with your own natural hair. So that was the party I was throwing.
Oh, I remember. Yep.
And my husband just got admitted to the hospital. We were really down about Greg going to the hospital. He had cancer. They just told us that he has cancer. He'd been going back and forth. Yeah, he'd been going back and forth, and we didn't know what he had, right? So they admitted him. I told production, I don't think I should have this party. Well, they were gun home having the party because it was an all-cast scene. And they already planned for all the girls to be at my house for this particular scene, right? And so I was like, I don't think this is a good thing. They said, do it. I called Greg. I want to know how he felt. Can I go ahead and do this thing? Because they're really pushing me to do it. He said, fine, do it. I said, we all have a producer that's assigned to us, right? And I say to my producer, listen, you guys can film. I just don't want anybody to go into my closet, right? They promised me no one would go into my closet. And I'm telling you,
because you said it. Because you said, don't touch, like to a little kid, don't touch that cookie.
They told those girls to do it. And they were telling them to do it at a time when they also knew that I was at my lowest at that point. They knew that Greg was in the hospital with cancer. And they knew that, honestly, we probably shouldn't have done that all-cast scene at my house. Mm-hmm. My husband is in the hospital with cancer. Like, why are we still doing this scene? Who doesn't care about how I'm feeling right now? The craziest thing is, after that whole scene happened, I get a call. Do you think you want to take a couple days off? No, bitch, I should have took a couple days off before the scene.
Now I got to clean up a mess I just made.
Yeah, but it wasn't as bad as it looked. I think they tried to make it look bad, but it wasn't that bad. So the guy who had the camera is a big ass guy, right? And I grabbed his t-shirt, but the way they put it out to the world made it look as if I did something to him. Like if I beat him or hit him. I never hit anybody ever since I've been on the show as a housewife from day one to this day. I never hit anybody. It was all of these reports about she hit the camera guy, and then there were reports about she fought Kim. Okay, where? Roll the footage, please. They don't have it.
It was in that van that they were saying it, right? It was like you guys were in some van going somewhere. I remember, but I can't. Yeah, the only physical thing I can ever remember was the weave pull on the street.
And that wasn't me.
No, I know.
I always got in
Sheree
trouble
Kim,
for
right?
that. It was Sheree and Kim, but people always said it was me.
Really?
People would always say, "You pulled Kim's wig. You did." I said, "I never had a physical altercation on the show." Now, the other thing is, I felt like it was so blown out of proportion with the camera guy when there were so many. This is where I think that we get different treatment, and there's just a difference in how we're treated because there's so many girls that are doing things. You had Teresa flipping a table. You had Teresa pushing Andy down. You had girls busting glasses. You got people doing all kinds of stuff. But me grabbing the camera guy's shirt.
Interesting. I didn't.
They act as if it was so freaking major. Do you know this guy never said one thing to camera guy?
To this day.
To this day.
But he wasn't that big of a deal to him.
No.
And he would have sued, by the way.
Yes, he didn't even care. He was over there laughing. He didn't care about it. Everybody was talking about it like I had really done something. And I was like, this is crazy. They elevate. I personally think when the brown girls do something, it is much more elevated than when you nice vanilla looking girls are doing something, you know?
Right.
I don't feel like it's the same. To me, those girls are over there pulling each other's wigs off, busting glasses, pushing each other. Like, we don't push each other. I certainly
You're
don't
saying
want
it's
to push
heightened.
me. It is.
So when you read all of that, which you've read a million things, but when you're reading all that, how do you receive it? How are you in dealing with the bad press? And like when you're going, I feel like you take the bait. I feel like you comment a lot. And I feel like you talk. A lot of times I hear you like talking about like some other girl that was on the show with you, and I'm like, why is she talking about that person? Just giving that person air. Why even bother like responding to every? It's like you're trying to kill every bug in Manhattan sometimes.
I think in the beginning, you kind of respond because you don't know what else to do. And then as time goes on and seasons roll by, your skin gets thicker and thicker.
Right.
And you learn to, girl, I'm not responding to that. I'm only helping you. I wish I would respond to that. Or I might respond to this. I think you get more strategic on when to respond and when not to respond. And besides, my skin is very thick. So, you know.
No, but like you were on Carlos King, and I forgot who it was, but he's asking you about specific people, and you were talking about those specific people, and you know they're going to come back, and you're going to look 3 more weeks of press when they say the thing back to you, and you just sometimes I think you like it, or sometimes just like fuck it, I'm going to slap somebody.
That's me keeping it 100.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was keeping it 100. Yeah, that's how he asked
I'm
the question, you're
just-
answering
yeah,
it.
just answering
That's what I think too. Yeah, I get it.
But I don't think that people want to see Nene Leakes in an interview not being honest.
Nene, yeah.
Being
No, but you can
100,
answer it without fully going all the way in, and you go.
Yeah,
Like
I
you're
don't-
like, I think
so-
she's boring. Like you'll say that.
well, back then. Now I don't.
Got it.
Now I think I say she's lukewarm or something else instead of like she's boring.
Right.
Yeah, because it's crazy. I feel like they hear me, and sometimes I don't know they hear me.
Wait, what do you mean?
Whenever I say something, I feel like I'm so heard. But in certain situations, yeah, like if I'm talking about the girls, then I'm so heard. Like,
No, I don't understand what you're saying.
like if I said,
Like you want to send the message to them. You're saying.
no, if I say somebody is boring, I
Yeah.
feel like everybody hear that I just said that.
Of course.
But
that's what the
But
point
I
of the
can say
interview
certain
is.
things that are more important and they don't hear it.
Of course, because that's what they're looking for. It's like you're looking for a horoscope that applies to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you and I get it because you say something and you're giving it oxygen, and then they're going to say it back, and then you're back on the Housewives without being paid to be back on the Housewives.
Yes.
So I think about that with you. But I also recognize once in a while you want to slap somebody. Like I once in a while you want to,
I'm really okay with all.
So you have a good relationship with a girl.
Oh, right on, Erin. My super mod, Erin D, is in the house. Oh my God, we did get up to freaking 22 people in the house. Thanks for being here at Larger Curves. I hope you're enjoying our conversation today. Nene Leakes, Bethany Frankel, Giving It to Bravo, Reality Reckoning, which Nene Leakes started 3 years ago without a response. We're getting into it today because Bethany Frankel complained in July and it's September, and they already responded to the Vanilla Girl, as Nene liked to put it. So we're in here listening to a bit of this, and be sure you smash this like button. It helps more people come, helps me get in the algorithm. I really appreciate it. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. If you're new here, ring the bell so you can get notified next time we upload a video. Thanks a lot, Erin.
I would say good relationship. I don't have any.
It's clean.
Yeah, I don't have any beef.
Isn't it funny? No,
No.
I watch.
But I feel like they still have beef with me as well.
Yes, but I think that with Housewives, it's like a silent tennis match. You watch them hit a ball through the press and say something bad about you. But the next time, if you say something nice about them, you watch them hit back a softer ball. Like you watch the ball moving around cross franchises. I see a housewife from Orange County saying something about me. Someone you watch everybody subtly fucking each other in the whole franchise. I mean, let's be honest. It's a constant fucking. It's the most competitive space you can imagine.
It is.
I mean, is there
It's a
any
tough
city
place.
that's not completely cutthroat and completely competitive and completely jealous. Any of them.
No.
Right. Like,
It's designed.
exactly. With the money,
Yeah.
the glam, who gets invited on the trips, who's in the center holding a piece of fruit,
Yes.
whatever it is. So there's no, let's call it what it is. It's a very, it's the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So
Very
it's very designed, and every woman is
May the
there
odds
to
be
end
forever in your
fighting for one person.
favor.
They can pretend they're fighting for other people, but they're fighting for them. Everybody gives Kyle the queen title. They're doing that because they're kissing the ring and they don't want to be hated. And the next season flips upside down.
That's
and
true.
yeah, it's the whole thing.
That's true. That is very advanced.
That's right. It's just like give and take, and she's my best friend, and then I hate her, and it's just what that is, and that's not real. In real life, you can have good relationships with women in real life. And okay, so now there's all this. So first of all, you're acting. You're on Glee. You're like a real actress, and this is happening off season when you're off the Housewives. Like you're still doing Housewives, but you're also a real
so
actress.
I was on Glee, New Normal, Broadway, Cinderella, Chicago.
Like you have a real career, a real acting career.
I had a residency in Vegas, Humanity.
And were you making good money acting? Like you felt like it was a real career?
Yeah, I felt like it was okay money. I don't feel like it was.
But was it in your mind? Were you like planning to sort of exit Housewives and be an actress? Like that was going to be your full career. Like
I
you
was
walked
hoping
in.
that's what I was going to do, but it didn't work out.
But you were on a path to that, right?
I thought.
Okay. Didn't you get your own show? Someone who said you had your own show. Weren't you given a show? Or you were on a series?
I had my own show as far as my wedding. Weddings.
No, but you were on Glee, and were you not on another series? Oh, was that New
Normal?
Oh, New Normal was like a real good part also.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I remember. You were on New Normal. Okay, and you leave the Housewives, but you were first a friend. So how it was told to me was that
what?
Like a friend of the show. You were going to be on 7 to 10 appear. I was told.
I was always the housewife.
Okay, I was told the reason you left was because you were negotiating. They were only going to give you a certain number, but it was for a big number of money, like what I was getting paid when I came back, like a big per episode, and you didn't want that, so you walked.
You mean at the end?
Towards the end. That's what I was told. Something to that effect. Does that make any
In the
sense?
end.
Yeah, in the end, when you were leaving.
That I was going to be given a big sum of money?
No, in the end, when you were leaving, they were willing to. You were battling about money, and then they agreed that they would give you a certain like finite number of episodes. I forget if it was 7 to 10,
6.
finite number, but for a good paycheck each one. So it was still going to be a lot of money. And you said, "Fuck that! I'm not doing that."
No, I was given less and less and less episodes every season. And when I decided to leave, I think it was down to 6 episodes.
You were given 6 guaranteed episodes.
Yes.
And you decided to leave. And why do you think you were given less episodes? And what was your thought in deciding to leave? Like, what was that whole chapter about? Because I was just watching from the outside.
My thoughts in leaving were, okay, it felt like I was being phased out. I didn't understand why I was given less and less episodes. And I was asking, why am I given less and less and less every season? And everyone else is getting more. And I was constantly being told by the executives in the offices that I was unhappy. And I don't know how you tell a person they're unhappy.
Like you were reading unhappy on the show, I guess they were saying.
I guess. I think
the audience turning?
Okay, let's stop it right there real quick, because I did remember they did come to Nene and tell her, oh, well, we just don't think you're happy. So she had behind the scenes complained for years. Kim hasn't even been on that show. By the time Nene left, Kim hadn't been on the show for what, 4 seasons? At least she was in Croy's butt for the last 4 seasons. And off the scene. So that was at least 4 years that Nene had been complaining since the whole thing with Kim went down. And then she complained more behind the scenes, constantly going. And I showed you their statement was, oh, we have things set up. We have a system set up for you to be able to complain to. And that's what people are supposed to go use. So we hope people keep using that system. So this is the same system that Nene used back then to go say, hey, you know what, mentally, I'm not right. I don't want to continuously be attacked. I need a break. We need to use the bathrooms. All kind of stuff she was saying. And nobody listened. And then people were mad that she was asking for money to make it tolerable to work under those circumstances. And they didn't give a F. And then for them to come back and be like, oh, we're concerned for how you're feeling. Can you imagine the gaslighting that they were doing to Nene? So when I tell you my mental health is affected and I'm not feeling great, you guys ignore me. But when you feel like it's convenient to say that you notice that I might be upset, Now you're gonna, what, punish me by taking my feelings into consideration and giving me less work to do, thus affecting my paycheck? You got to make it make sense, people. That was retaliation, and they were trying to drive her out. Let's keep listening.
I don't feel like the audience was. I feel like the audience have always loved to hate. I think they've always had a
love to love you.
Yeah,
And
both. A love and a hate relationship with me. Both. We love her, we hate her, we love her, we hate her, we love her, kind of like that.
So you felt like you were getting demoted and iced out of something that you started?
Of course. And again, I go back to why. And I'm the only original housewife on the show. And all the other original housewives on their shows are white women. And they're all given full episodes. And I'm the only black original on my show. And I was given less. I'm given 6, they're all given 18.
That's a valid point. Why? So whenever anybody's going through anything in real life, IRL, and you got to ask yourself why, just sit back and look and it'll be revealed. Because Nene's why actually establishes the pattern of Bravo's racist leaning tendencies to reward abhorrent behavior while punishing her for speaking up about her mistreatment.
And the only answer you can give me is you tell me that I am unhappy. How do you know I'm unhappy? Are you inside of my body?
Well, how can you negotiate with them when they're demoting you and you were trying to get a certain amount of money, that they have all the leverage? Like, what was that whole experience like? Like, what's going on?
The experience of when I got the call to say,
what season was that?
like 3 seasons ago.
13 or something, somewhere.
Yeah, like 13, I think.
I don't remember.
12.
Okay.
12. I feel like this was a very important time in Black Lives. It was Black Lives Matter movement. I'm an original housewife. I should be there. This is an important time. And I was basically told, flat out told, we need you to sit out this season. That's what I was told.
But that's like what they did with Dorinda with a pause. She was drinking a lot the season before she seemed, I guess, very angry, and she was unhinged, and so they like give her a pause.
And that was completely different, though. Dorinda had been drinking a lot. It was obvious to me, allegedly, Dorinda has a very big drinking problem. Anybody that can get that sloshed on national TV, like that was Dorinda. Nene was never like that, you guys.
These arbitrary decisions that are like, you're now a friend, you're off, and then you come back in. Like, it's very, it's the realm, the head of the realm, Oz, and I guess Oz is Andy and Bravo, are moving all the pieces around in the franchise and deciding that Ramon is now a friend, Luann's a friend, but you get to come back in. Phaedra, you did something terrible and said that Candy was
drugged.
What
did I do terrible? I need to see what that was.
Phaedra?
No, me.
Oh, no. I'm saying, but that's how I'm seeing that. Like, they're moving all these pieces on the chessboard. So right now, you're a chess piece and you're being moved out. It's your turn to sit out this round.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, no, I'm not coming back at all. I'm done. I'm out.
The final decision came. I said I was going to take the 6 episodes, is what I said. In the end, I said, I'm going to go ahead and take it, right?
Was that because of finances? What was that reason?
Not for finances, I don't think. At that time, no. It was because my team was saying do it. My husband was saying, you're great. When you get on the show, your 6th episode will probably turn into 10 or 15 because, you're great. You're going to be great. You're going to be fine.
But that must feel very sad for you. Like, started it and you're like, Nene Leakes, and you're very popular and everyone loves you, and now you're being demoted and like you're in the corner.
I think I didn't understand why it was happening. And in the end, the reason I made the decision that I'm not going to be able to take these 6 episodes, it was during the Black Lives Matter movement. I got on the phone with the executives and they wanted me to come for Candy, is what they said. They wanted me to, we want you to get Candy.
And what does that mean?
Get her.
But what was their reasoning and what did they have on her?
I don't know.
She's the idolized.
I think we had maybe some issues, maybe the season prior to, and they wanted me to make sure that I confront her and I address her and all that stuff. And I said, no, I really don't want to do it. This is Black Lives Matter, and I don't want to do that. And I didn't do it. I felt like it was Black Lives Matter. I should have been there. They were trying to push me out of time that was very important in the Black culture. And also they wanted me to appear. If I appeared that season, they needed me to argue with Candy. And that was not something I wanted to do.
So you made the decision to leave the show. And how long after that did you I don't know the story. I guess you sued them. You sent them papers. What happened after that? What were you doing? Were you still acting? Like, what was that moment? You're off the show. What are you doing now?
There was a lot going on.
It was during the pandemic, right?
During the pandemic,
Okay.
there was a lot going on. I was trying to have conversations like with the executives, or I wanted to talk through like, why was this happening? Why did all these things happen to me? There were a lot of things happening that you just don't know about. But
like racism you're talking about? Because
there was a lot of things happening to me. Unfair treatment. Well, no, I just mean that it was a lot of unfair treatment happening to me.
At that time, or during your whole history that you were reflecting?
During a period of years, things were happening. For instance, okay, let me give you an example. We are a cast of Black women, and we have a white woman on our show. She doesn't travel, we travel. She doesn't shoot, we shoot. So there was a lot of different treatment happening on the show. And I was more of the outspoken one, the one that was in the front. Like, me and the girls would talk about it, and then we would say, you know, it's unfair that Kim doesn't have to take any cast trips. Like, none of us want to take cast trips, right? And
she wasn't taking cast trips?
No. The only trip Kim took that I can remember is to Miami. Our cast went to Miami, and she went on that trip. In fact, when Kim walks off of the show, we're all sitting there talking to her about, why didn't you gave us these dates to go on these cast trips. You said you would be available, and you're not available. Kim did not go on cast trips, only the Black girls. I felt that over the years that I was treated differently than
someone white.
That's right.
Right, okay. And what did they say to that? Like, what was the response?
I don't know their response, because I've worked with this company for a very long time. I had issues. You would think that someone there would have said, let's pick up the phone and talk to her and see what's happening. They never picked up the phone.
Oh, let's discuss the matter.
No one ever wanted to speak to me.
To this day, you haven't spoken to anyone about. You haven't spoken to Andy or anyone about. So, when's the last time you spoke to Andy or someone from Bravo? This feels like this was a.
Okay, you guys, that's what I'm saying. 3 years ago and years before that, she went through the proper channels to get her words out. And now we're hearing further that she was met with counterproduction the entire time. Does everybody still feel like Nene did this to herself and brought this on herself? And, oh, she should have just shut up and cashed her checks and been grateful for 6 episodes? Or are you hearing this Black woman when she tells you her experience, her lived experience? It sounds like Bethany's trying to figure it out, because it also feels like Bethany was one of the ones that was like, oh, she bit her nose to spite her face. And even now in this conversation, I'm feeling Bethany receive Nene's feelings as legitimate and valid finally.
Well, this is in the last 3 years, you're saying, this whole thing?
Yeah.
It feels like an explosion.
Andy probably was.
So 3 years ago, you leave the show, you file an action that's still going on. It's a case, or what is it called?
It's a complaint.
You have a complaint, and it's still going on. And I've heard that it's back and forth, and it feels like it was abrupt. Like, you leave, and then when does this all come? And then they would say, or someone would say, why didn't you file it earlier? Like, are you a disgruntled employee? That type of thing. So
no, I'm not a disgruntled employee, because I was bringing my complaints all the time. So it wasn't like I just decided, oh, I'm leaving now, I'm going to complain about all these things. Which is why I believe I was getting less and less episodes, because I made complaints a lot over the years. If there was something that did not look right or sound right to me, I would bring it up, right? And
so let's just get this clear. So because I want this. So because it was backwards. So basically, for years, you're complaining about things that just on the day-to-day don't seem correct.
Right.
And then you start to get demoted.
Yes.
And you feel like it's personal, and you feel like it's related.
It's personal. Yeah.
That's different. Okay. So that's what you're. Okay.
So I feel like I was on the front line. And when I say I was on the front line,
but you also always kept it 100.
I was like, right. I felt like the leader for the girls. So they would all get together. For years, we were all on the same text message. We had a housewife, Georgia Peach text message.
Without Kim. Black girls.
Without Kim.
Okay.
And everybody would come in the thing. And I felt like, okay, if this is an issue, I'll be the one to call and tell them. And I would always be the one to call and tell them. And I'm just thinking the girls are going to support me when I make these complaints for them. But there were times when they didn't support me. But you guys know you made the complaints. I mean, like, I had your text messages.
Have they validated any of your feelings, your experience, or any of this? Or have they just
in text messages?
They have. Mm-hmm. They have. So I remember, I think you were there. I think that the Housewives franchise went from the old guard to the new guard and changed. For me, it was the Andy Cohen baby shower. And it's going to sound crazy, but I was invited by Kyle. I know Kyle hosted it. Maybe was it you and two other girls did it with her?
Yeah, me and Kyle and
one other girl.
It may have been Vicky. I'm not sure.
Something like, okay. So
we all paid like $5,000 or something.
So yes.
Sure he has good baby shower.
Exactly. So Kyle invites me, and which is very nice. And I'm in LA and I'm doing an appearance, but I could have made it. And I didn't want to go because my feeling was that it was going to be like a dog and pony show, everybody trying to kiss the ring, trying to like, you know, Andy's the Don, Andy's the Charlie, and all the angels are going to come in. And what I really did hear from the feedback and what I saw from the media, that it was.
I agree, Mir, because it's a tactic. It's a tactic to reduce the complaints of the complainee to nothing. Oh, you're just mad because you're not working here anymore. You can't listen to her. So it's to discredit Nene's complaints by reducing her after all that she built over there to disgruntled. You know, disgruntled people, those are the ones that walk into the job after they got fired and pow the people, right? Those are crazy, unhinged people, disgruntled. You can't listen to nothing a disgruntled person says. They have sure programmed all of us to believe that a disgruntled person is not trustworthy at all. That's why they threw that word at her. Textbook, exactly.
The older girls, the originals, were like there and sort of part of it. They were a little older. They were like seniors. And the new girl, they were like seniors. And the new girls were all sort of like in the background, wanting to be at the cool table, the cafeteria table. And Beverly Hills wasn't the peach and it wasn't the apple. Beverly Hills was now like the shining diamond. And they were like up on the table, getting all the attention, get up and dance. And like they were the favorites then. And it just felt like everybody was trying to get the most press, the most attention, the most be Andy's favorite. And it kind of represented the whole experience for me, which is like, you're the most popular if you get asked to watch What Happens Live, or you sit in the seat, or you sit next to Andy, or you sit there. And it feels like the whole chessboard has always been sort of played and operated to make us all think that about each other and wonder. It's like that one event represented the whole thing. Because no one needs a baby shower to be people wasted for 5 days, hungover, dancing on table. Like, but do you see where I'm coming from at all?
I do understand what you're saying.
Like some girls feel like they're the losers at the loser table. I mean, and they want to get his attention and hopefully he'll notice them. I mean, that's what it's like.
Yeah. Very much so.
You know what I mean?
Very much so.
So, were you close with Andy? Do you consider him to be a good friend of yours?
No.
You say that now, or you always do that?
My good friends, I go to their house or I visit their home at some point. So I never visited his home. So I would have to say no. I don't feel like we were good friends. I feel like we were
colleagues.
Probably a little bit more than that.
The future of travel doesn't have to include crowded airports.
Taking care email _.com/C.
On a scale of
Think it stood, and where do you think it stands?
I thought we had a good relationship.
And why don't you think, like, do you feel like he has the power and he's in control of the things that you were bringing to Bravo, or he's just a pawn in the whole machine? Like, what part does he play? Or you can't play stupid and smart. You can't be the boss and then play dumb. Like, where do you think he fits in the whole thing?
He fits in at the top.
He fits in at the top.
And he is, like you said, maybe like, I don't know, he's at the top. And he is moving everybody around on the board. It's almost like a real game.
It's like a real game. Yeah. And because there are always questions, who texts you the most? Who do you text the most? And the thing is, we're all in the game because I remember one year I was off the Housewives and then I went to his house for his Christmas party. And it was like all these famous people there and I felt special. And then, I'm sitting next to him at this reunion and now I feel special. And it reminds me of like probably you with your parents as your real parents as a kid and me with mine, like we all want his approval. We all want to be the favorite. We want his approval. We want to be able to say, you even have said something. I've been on that show the most about What Happens Live. It's like a calling card. And so
but I understand why I was on that most now. I mean, at that time, I didn't totally get it 100%. But
what do you mean? You rated. Why do you think you were on the most?
To help the show.
Because you were rating. Yeah, you're rating. But why else would you? Yeah, but you're saying it wasn't because you were friends. It's because you're a piece on the board and you're a valuable piece.
Very bad.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so I think there's a psychology that goes on with this group and this show. And he's an he used to be an executive and he's a producer, which is like a power position. But then you're this sort of talent.
He's not an executive anymore.
He's not an executive for you. He used to be an executive at Bravo, a development executive, and then like a VP. And then because he was on the show with his own show, he became talent, but still is an executive producer of different shows. But that's still in like a supervising position. And so it's tricky because he's not quote unquote technically producing Vanderpump Rules. So he can't be held accountable to the standard of producing that reunion, but he's the person who's the talent saying all these things to Raquel, but like under the shield of like it's the show, like he's almost like a puppet, like just reading these words when he's a human being, he knows what he's saying. But then over here, he's a producer that gets to choose who's on and who's off, and it gets to be you can't play stupid and smart. Like you're in a power position, and you have a lot of power there because you report directly to Francis, who makes all the decisions. So you can't write, and people will wonder why people like you and I would fuck this thing up, would bite the hand that feeds us, would mess up the apple and peach card. Like even me more than you, I wasn't getting demoted. I could have gone back any time for millions of dollars, and I fucking fucked up the whole cart when I was. I mean, you thought I was the favorite. I thought you were the favorite. Let's talk about that. We talked about this. I thought you said that you thought I was his favorite.
Yes, I did think that you were his favorite at some point. I don't know when that point actually became. I thought you were his favorite, but at times it didn't feel like it. Sorry, but then it looked like it, but then sometimes it didn't feel like it.
Meaning the public is thinking that I'm his favorite, but the way he's speaking privately is not. Likewise, that's what I'm saying. Likewise, and I know. I've known how he feels about different people at different times, and I don't know. Again, it's back to the reality reckoning, which we're now going to get into. For me, and of course, I bit the hand that fed me, and now it's so convenient that I'm talking about this and all that. But I left. I left twice. There's no confusion. All the receipts. I left twice at top dollar, and I didn't bring this whole thing up because I wanted to do a show. I walked away from my show, and you can. I have the receipts for that too. I walked away from the show that I was going to do because I didn't want to get into business with that production company, and I didn't want to go into this sphere, and I didn't want it to be like Housewives. And there was no big plan for the reality reckoning. I was just thinking about the reunion and the strike, and I thought, what the hell? And one day I woke up and said to myself, I go to Australia, and no one told me that there's my entire body, just me on the back of a bus. And I'm excited by that, but I shouldn't be excited by that because they're promoting a show on Hey You Australia that's got episodes of me from 15 years ago that I made $7,250 for a whole season. So in real time, I just said something, and it exploded, and it got a lot of pickup. And then I started to think about all of it. And the truth is, I never burned the house down because I thought maybe I'd go back into the house. And I don't mean burn the house down by a reckoning because I didn't even think of it. I mean, I think this whole time I thought that Andy and I were kind of really friends because we text back and forth, but we don't really. I've been to his house once for a Christmas party 10 years ago. We're not really. Every time we're together, we're only talking about the housewives. Am I coming on? Am I going off? Is that person getting fired? Is that person coming on? Like we're not really. You know what your real friends are like. So now I'm in this hybrid world where I think we kind of really don't like each other, but we're both playing this game. And yet when things are happening for me, he's not really congratulating me, and like I feel like he has some sort of resentment, because I'm supposed to be beneath him because we both came up at the same time. He was barely a host, and he was working at Bravo, and we came up at the same time. So I'm thinking, I don't think he likes me at all. I think we've both been playing this game for all this time. And one day I decided to just not be afraid and open my fucking mouth because the only person I was protecting in that whole realm was him. And he hasn't been protecting me.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Well, she finally just said what I said earlier. I wish I knew why she didn't say something before when Nene said something 3 years ago. And she just admitted the reason she didn't speak up when Nene brought all this stuff up before was because she didn't want to burn down a house she may have gone back into while Nene was willing to, in her words, burn down the house. Let's keep on listening.
Hello. You're looking for. That's your hello. That's like you've been asleep this whole time. Hello. Hello.
Did I just crack open like a fucking piñata?
No. I feel like. No, you didn't go 100. You was about 80
just now.
Yeah, and I think that. Yeah.
No, I think
that everybody that's in this position, I think at one point you feel or you think like, am I his favorite? Am I not? I kind of feel the same way you do. I don't think he ever liked me.
Down deep inside, you were playing the game. You were both two people that it's a dance. Like I got invited on, hey, yay! And it's so funny. And every time you're there, it's like, oh my god, I saw what you just did, and Prince, and everyone's excited. But the last time I went on that show, I was with my daughter, and we're so used to that environment being. He's always protected. Somehow he's asking these questions like, who's the ugliest housewife? And you're like, oh, let me like a question that bad. Like, who's the worst mother? Like questions that are so problematic. Asking Jill Zarin's mother.
Yeah, Mir, I'm hoping that me speeding it up won't get me a copyright strike, even though I'm running the copyright disclaimer at the bottom. So I speed it up so that it's not exactly. Anyway, I just heard that was a thing I could do. I hope it works.
Asking her, is this good for the Jews or bad for the Jews? Then mentioning Ron Jeremy, like to accept me, like all these things that somehow he's like always protected, and we're always fucking skinned alive with Tabasco sauce all over us, naked. Because I say the thing about the other. Who do you think is the bitchiest housewife or most dramatic? Nene. 2 weeks of press. Bethany says Nene's the most dramatic. You 2 weeks of press say Bethany's a bitch. Like we're out there and we get thrown like pieces of meat to just get ripped apart by that vehicle that we kiss the ass to get on and get excited that we're on and we're there. And we're like, oh my god, yay! And we all play the goddamn fucking game and we get decked out because we're using him like he's using us because we want to promote our shit and get dressed out and get the whatever. But it all just seems so gross. And we're all such pawns because of the fame and the money. And when I had enough money and enough fame and nobody had anything that I wanted, and I knew by the last shred I let it all hang out because it was like, I'm not fucking going back. And I'm not doing this other show. I've been afraid. I've been hanging out. I've been there. And like, I'm not doing it.
Well, see, first of all, you're in a position where you can feel that way and say all those things. That's one thing. Financially and skin color. There are things that you can say that I can't say. There are things that you...
Ooh, I love Nene Leakes. I love that she's having this freaking conversation in real time like this. Let's keep on. Are you guys excited about this? I feel a shift happening in the universe, you guys. This needs to happen.
can actually do on this show that I can't do on this show. And that's just a fact. As you just said, Candy told you that, everything that we do is sort of like elevated. And it's the truth. Everything we do is much more elevated. You can say all those things, whatever you want to say to me, and I can't say the same. My treatment is 100% different on the show than yours.
You mean not on the Housewives?
On the Housewives.
Got it. But
It's
now in a post-Housewives world, you chose to leave, and you know that all these other housewives have gotten asked back. They've come back, they've come in, they've come out. You chose to leave.
I chose to leave for a lot of reasons.
Okay, because I want to hear that, because you chose to leave, and then you chose to burn the house down, and I'll explain when I call to try to work with you.
I don't think I burned the house down. Did I burn it down?
Well, we're talking about, you burnt the bridge attached to the house, yeah. Between you and the house, there was a bridge, because you took legal action.
Okay, so
when I read in the headlines, I don't think anyone knows your story, so I would like to hear it.
Well, first I want to say this. I just want to get your language so I can understand what you're saying. You said you burned the house, so that means you burned the bridge. So when I think that you're burning the bridge,
while you were there.
When I think that someone is burning a bridge, you're burning the bridge because this person's done nice things for you and to you, and then you just decide to burn. That's how I see burning.
Oh, no, that would be like not taking the olive branch. I'm saying whatever literal bridge is a bridge between them and you, and even if you don't like them, even if you were discriminated against, you might want to walk back on that fucking bridge and go back in just like
you might want to, but you also might not want to be continuously abused. I didn't just wake up one day and just say, I'm going to file a complaint. I felt like I worked there long enough, and just as I respect them, I thought they respect me, and they would have wanted to come to a table and sit and talk with me about the issues
and
that
who did you want to talk to?
When I say they, I mean the executives who are in control of both sides, on the network side and the production side.
Okay.
So there were issues. I never was the talent that just decided, oh, this is my last season, I have all these issues. No, I had my issues and wrote emails and text messages, and I have receipts. I am Black. We keep receipts. That's all we can do. Okay. So I have my receipts of my complaints and the things I felt that should change. I asked, why is this happening to me? I would like for this to change. Can this not happen to me any longer? Can I do this? I asked all those questions. Okay. And again, I always felt like if I did one little thing, it was elevated. Yet all the White Housewives, white girls could do anything. And it was never, you guys never got the same treatment. You just don't get the same treatment. Now you guys might complain, you might walk off the show. I walk off the show, it's the whole world has blown up. She walked off the show. Well, you got white girls walking off the show, running off the show, crying, flipping tables, pulling hair, busting glasses, cursing people out, all kinds of stuff. And if I just do one little thing, my treatment is totally different.
Interesting. And you mean from the show or the court of public opinion? Because they can't control it.
From the show and the court.
Like they're not protecting you. Something happens in the press.
They protect you. They don't protect me.
So we're in this gray area where it's not an actual workplace. And the reason that you don't get real answers is because if you were working in a normal company and Jane down the hall drank 8 bottles of vodka, the HR would be called. And if you were in a normal workplace and someone treated you a certain way and you filed a complaint, HR would be called. But there is no real HR because it's not really a workplace, but we have to show up on time and we have to work. So we're in this purgatory gray area where nothing's real. And now that's what the reckoning is really about, because people have to be accountable. Right. So you leave, you file the complaint, and that's why I want to come into. I don't know exactly what it said. What is it that you wanted?
There's a lot of things that I won't say out here.
Okay. Or what you want. You're still in it. You're still in it.
I want fair treatment. I want to be treated equally.
But how can you be treated equal now when you're not working with them? What would you do? What do you want? What could be done
I'm
now?
not working with them now, no, because I wasn't getting fair treatment.
You want amends for not getting fair
treatment.
treatment.
And I was not treated.
Okay. And how do you feel about the way it's going to go down? Do you think you're going to get what you want?
I don't know.
Do you feel stronger in this reckoning?
I feel like
I don't want anything.
But if it were you,
okay.
You probably would not have even had to file a complaint.
Interesting.
They probably would have come and sat and talked. If you were just asking to talk and let's figure this out, let's work this out, they probably would have sat and talked.
Do you feel stronger since the media has shifted recently and since there's a wave and since this reality reckoning? Do you feel a little bit less alone?
I still feel very alone.
So you've said to me, so now let's enter into, now keep in mind, I'm only reading headlines, I'm seeing clips, I don't know what's going on. From my perspective, and also I was still friends with the network, and my perspective is Nene's suing RHOA and the production company for discrimination and other things, and that's kind of what I heard. Like there was that you were suing and you were public about it, and it was a big thing. Okay, so we don't speak that often. I'm watching you on the media. I have no idea how long later I reach out to you, but in my own life, I am thinking, I've always thought that you're very entertaining, and I think you and I would be amazing together. So I have this idea. Paul and I are always talking about ideas. It was Paul's idea to have Jill on. He said, you should have Jill talk about the new Housewives. And I said, oh God, I just want to have a reunion with her. And then that's how that happened. And so we were just talking, and I was like, he always was like, you want to do something with Nene? And I said, I think Nene and I should do a show called Ebony and Ivory, where we get in an RV and go across the country from each of our perspectives. Like, you're taking me to places where it's not, where you have a different experience as a Black woman, and I'm taking you to different places around the country. I mean, you're going to take me to the Deep South. I'm taking you to Nantucket, like wherever. Like, it's just places that are very stereotypically white and very stereotypically Black. I thought it was a great idea. I called 2 production companies that had relationships with Bravo, because again, I don't know that much about your case. I called them because they've been wanting to do a bunch of projects with me, and I never want to do anything. I've reached out to you a million times. And they say, we can't. And I even had one of them call you. Remember I say, can you call her? I was like, they're like, we can't touch it. We can't touch it. We can't touch it. She's suing. I call an agency. We can't touch it. And I call you. And because you said to me on the phone, every time you call me, nothing ever happens. And I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but I said, the reason is when I call you, it's because someone else told me that it couldn't happen. Like, I call you getting excited. You say I'm excited too. I then talk to someone else and they shut it down because of the legal action. That was my perspective. I don't know if it's true, not true. And I just reported it back to you.
So since all of this has come forward with complaints and things like that, I have been severely retaliated. And have you been retaliated against since you came out with your reality reckoning?
I mean, I believe so. I believe I've burned many bridges. Yeah, I do not believe I've been doing anything with Bravo, and I haven't been.
Well, that's fine. If you don't,
yeah.
You're not doing anything with Bravo, I get it. But I don't feel like I should be retaliated against to the point of me not being able to work at all.
Well, no, also, I'm just in the beginning. Just know that 2 different people in production, as I told you, said to me, I can't work for you. I will never work in TV again if I work for you. And 3 Bravo talent that have been violated and have a story to tell reached out to me wanting to talk, and they've been blocked. So I'm okay. But I'm saying there's an effect to my actions.
Well, for me, I've not been able to work at all.
But so in any arena of entertainment?
In any arena of entertainment, I was not able to work from that point of me closing my computer, leaving the reunion. I did not work again until last year. I got one job last year.
But what if it's that you are litigious because people don't want, if someone sued somebody personally, they don't want to touch that? How could, Bravo's not going to call ABC and say, don't work with Nene.
They obviously called ABC and EFG.
But ABC doesn't listen to Bravo, who's answering to NBC.
Apparently they have. And because listen, I'm a talent and I am talented.
I agree.
I am not just a reality star. I am an entertainer. Okay. I sing, dance, act,
I
and
agree.
do reality. Okay. As a Black woman, I have to be able to do everything. At the end of the day, I turn cartwheels and do flips. Like, I do everything. There's nothing that I
haven't worked at all.
I'm trying to tell you that they shut my work down. I do everything. So you mean to tell me as a talented person that there was nothing for me to host, there was nothing for me to act in, sing in, dance in, jump in, clap in, nothing?
What do your agents say?
The same thing.
What do your agents say?
I'm saying to you, the doors were closed. The doors were not open. And in fact, a friend of mine told me Andy wrote a book and he said the door was closed. So apparently when he says the door is closed all over the entire industry because I did not work. Now, that's a fact. And we're talking about somebody that's talented.
I'm asking,
I'm not holding it on anybody. But I'm telling you that when it happened, I have been retaliated against. Now, you just don't go from working today and never working again. Like, something happened. Something
I agree.
happened.
I agree.
Like, you can't just be like, okay, so.
Yeah, but your agents are the most powerful people in the entertainment industry. What have they said? What does CAA say to you when you say, why am I not working? Give me the fucking truth. What do they say?
Nothing. Listen, I'm not crazy, and
No,
neither are you.
No. I'm with you. I'm
trying to tell you that if you were working today and suddenly all the doors just closed all across the entire industry because you had a disagreement with maybe this company that you're working for, but maybe you don't have to work with that company anymore. There's so many other companies out here to work for. There were all kind of narratives put out there, like I was a difficult talent and all these things. I've never ever worked on a set where I've been difficult. Ever.
Wait, have you seen that you were difficult? You've seen that go on?
I've heard it. Now there's a lot of sets that I've worked on.
And you're talking about scripted or unscripted or both?
Both.
Okay.
Any set I work on, I come happy and I don't need anything but my money and some water every now and then. But let me tell you something. I don't need anything. I come happy and I'm ready to work. I'm a worker bee. I like to work.
I know you do.
Yeah, I've enjoyed working. So I've never had an issue on any set I've ever worked on. So it is not by chance that I have a disagreement with this company and every door across the industry decides to close. It is something wrong with that. But you, Bethany, or some of the other girls, they can have an issue with this company and they may not work with them for a little while, but they always get to come back and work.
Well, my work is all self-generated. This is my podcast.
You're
I'm not being hired by
You're different at this point.
Yeah.
But there's so many examples. Let me just say, let me just use my closing the computer as an example. So I closed the computer as an example because we were doing our reunion show.
What does that mean? I closed the computer?
We were doing our reunion show from home because of COVID.
Oh, okay.
So we were all on computer at the time. I think we were the only franchise that did that. And I closed my computer as in I walked off of the reunion.
How long ago?
2019.
4 years ago.
Okay. So I closed my reunion and I walked off of the I closed my computer and I walk off of the show. The treatment is just different. Lisa Vanderpump on her show, she walked off. I mean, she didn't even walk off. I don't think she never came to the reunion. And they are still working with her today. Kim Zolciak walks off of our entire show and walked right into her own reality show. I didn't get that same treatment. I was always retaliated against or something happened.
You feel like you're being punished?
Of course, severely punished. what's happening to me right now with these doors closing everywhere, you would think that I have drugged, raped, stabbed, cut somebody. I mean, I'm getting the treatment like I was freaking R. Kelly or Bill Cosby.
You feel like you've been canceled?
Yes, there was a point. As of late, I have been getting little opportunities here and
Like
there.
what?
But I did an endorsement deal recently. Last season, I did a reality show. So I've got little small things to come in. But this just doesn't happen. It's almost like they're trying to send a message. If you're being abused, you better not fucking speak up. So it's almost like this is why the union is much needed. What you're fighting for, it's much needed, because if I'm being abused, I don't have the right to say something. I can't come to you and tell you that something's happening to me. And if I do tell you something's happening to me, do that mean I don't ever get to work again? Why? I'm a woman. You're a woman. I'm a black woman, but we feel the same. You know, we believe the same. I have feelings. I'm not feelingless. I mean, I have feelings. I still have a family. You have a family. You're able to feed your family and provide for them. Why can't I feed and provide for mine? Because me and this company disagree. I don't know what the hell we're disagreeing on, but whatever our disagreements are, why can't I just go on and work somewhere else? Why do you need to put out a narrative like that to make my life miserable? Why can't I feed my kids? Why are all the white women able to do whatever they do? You know, I'll give you an example. I just thought of something. I remember Vicki Gunzlin saying that she had an issue. I can't remember everything. I remember there was something, I think somebody pretended like they had cancer. Maybe the girls were after them about that. Cancer. And then she ended up being like off the show. And then I think she had she was supposed to be on the first season of the new show that they do called Girls Trip. Right. And she was mad with Andy and Bravo about the contract they gave her. Something happened with their falling out. But she had fallen out with him, and she spoke to an attorney, and I know that for a fact because I was on the call when she spoke to the attorney about them, thinking that she wanted to file a lawsuit against them. I don't know what happened. She went through this whole process with the attorney. I don't know how far they got. I know that he probably had some calls with Bravo, whatever. Vicki is back on the show working. My situation is not the same. I can talk to an attorney or have an issue, which I did. My attorneys were talking to them in the beginning, wanting to sit down and let's figure something out. Let's work this out, whatever this issue is. And they never wanted to sit down and talk to me about anything. My feelings were they pretty much said, F that black bitch, period. Because they completely, but all these other people like Vicki was talking to an attorney that the world didn't know this, but we know this behind the scenes. She was speaking to an attorney and was upset with them about this cancer thing and some contract for the girls trip, but Vicki is back over there working and everything is fine. Lisa Vanderpump walk off the show, never returned. She still got Vanderpump and she can still sit over there and talk to him all day long if she wants to. Teresa can go to prison and stay for 10 years and they'll wait till she get back and then the show will start again. Okay, but the black girls do not get that same treatment. I'm telling you right now, our treatment is different. Okay, you guys go on fabulous trips. We ride on a Sprinter bus. That's just how it is. Our treatment is different. You were the highest paid, weren't you? Didn't you say you made more money than anybody?
I think so.
What is that? What does that mean? What kind of number was it? Tell me later.
I'll tell you. It was a big number.
You think so?
Number. Well, it was several $1 million for 4 months' work.
You think so? Or
I don't think that's a big number.
Okay, no.
I think you were
said several months of work.
No, for the shooting season.
Oh, for the shooting season.
Yes, but you guys, I think you were what your per episode was. You were coming back. I think it was close. It wasn't the same. I think I have an idea.
No, I didn't get several millions of dollars.
Well, no, not for six episodes. You wouldn't.
No, not even for a full season.
Not more than $1 million for a full season.
Oh no, I got way more than $1 million for a full season.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you said several.
Well, more than one.
Well, I got more than one.
Right. Okay. As I'm saying, I think we were in a similar position. I think we were in a similar position. I do. I think we're in a similar position. I think, but also it's different. That's different. I left for years and they wanted me back. And that's another problem with the whole thing is that the numbers are all over the place and everybody's contracts are different. And
well, see, I really don't care what anybody's making. Like, I really don't care what you make and what the next person makes as long as I'm happy with what I'm making.
No, exactly.
That's how I feel.
No, that's fine. But do you regret? What would you do differently now? So you leave the show, you get the 6 episodes, paint reverse and tell me what you would do differently.
About what?
Now that you're not working, would you not have done it? Would you have been part of the
No, I don't feel that way. I feel like, listen, I mean, again, I'm a human. I have feelings. I mean, I can't, how long do you treat a person fucked up?
So you're standing by that, even though how hard this is?
I mean, I have to.
Good. Okay.
What else can I do? At this point,
I'm saying many people would say I would have gone back. I would have worked for 4 years. I mean, how is it affecting?
I don't know that I can say that. I know that I don't deserve to be in this position. I know.
Right, but I think it's very admirable that you're standing in it, even knowing that you have a different situation.
I don't feel like I have another choice. I mean, because I don't think that they didn't give me any choices. They've never wanted to sit down and talk to me. No one at that company has ever called me and said, "What is happening?
Maybe they'll call you now.
What's going on?
Maybe
Why can't we talk?
Maybe they'll call you now.
Why can't we?
Bravo.
Well, I've asked them myself.
You never know. This is going to be a very. I feel that this is going to be an impactful interview, and let's see. Last week they sent a letter out saying they were going to try to change practices. Bravo. Maybe you'll call Nene and at least mend defense.
I mean, listen.
Everybody can change.
Everybody can change. I want you to know that. First of all, that you're doing a great thing. And so we said that we were going to talk about the black and white treatment. The reason why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
What you're doing is great. At the end of the day, as long as a voice is heard, that is all that matters. And that we get what we're trying to get out of the situation. Okay. So if it takes you to go and do it, you go and do it. I'm right here for you. I'm behind you. I'm supporting you. I couldn't do it, but you can do it. And even though maybe my voice wasn't heard by them, but trust me.
Okay. So we can say that she's behind Bethany, but in front of Bethany because she did it first.
My voice was heard by many people. Many people heard my voice.
Yes, but I don't think that they heard the
never
message.
cared.
I don't think the problem is doing all these short shows and it's a quick thing. It's a clip. It's not a conversation. It's not like understanding. Like the bottom line, I didn't know. The crystallization for me is that you felt that there was systemic discrimination, and even if it wasn't to the level that you thought it was, you felt you weren't being treated fairly, and you had a complaint with the company that you were working with that you were making a lot of money for.
Can we just examine that remark? Even if it wasn't to the level that you thought it was. So Bethany's an ally, but she needs to work on her allyship. That statement is problematic because it doesn't fully validate Nene's lived experience of discrimination. Did you guys ever notice that when Black person faces discrimination or racism, all of a sudden people want them to prove it? They want something tangible for an intangible action. So that little statement right there, let's listen real quick.
Is that you felt that there was systemic discrimination, and even if it wasn't to the level that you thought it was, you felt you weren't being treated fairly, and you had a complaint with the company that you were working with that you were making.
Believe me, it's to the level that we know it is. If we say there's discrimination and racism out of our mouth, it's to a level that we know it is. Not that we thought was shit. And the level is very fucking high if we're going to say it out of our mouth, because the world loves to attempt to put a Black person back in their place by telling us we're pulling a race card. You know what I'm saying? So by the time we utter the words discrimination, racism, that shit is definitely happening, and the level is so extremely high that it's intolerable for me to sustain working here anymore. So Bethany, if you're going to be an ally, you might want to put your listening ears all the way motherfucking on and understand that this woman is telling you her lived experience was such that it required her to act out in this way. Let's keep going.
Money for. So you felt that there wasn't equal treatment. You felt that you wanted to be talked to and with by the powers that be, and you felt that you were effectively ignored and then subsequently demoted and then kind of pushed out. And
all this you felt, bitch. It's proven. She just showed you the proof. She told you she has documented proof, journals of years of treatment, and you're still here with your felt. Okay, Bethany.
And you felt also like you started this thing.
Of course I did.
I mean, and now you're an outsider.
Everybody, I mean, listen, you have to be blind to not see that I started it. I mean, we're not crazy. I know everything that I did. It was a lot. And I helped them in many ways. They never respected me. No one. Give me one call and say,
You're telling me you never have had a phone call from anyone?
Mm-hmm.
She already told you. We just said that.
Let's see what the hell is wrong with me. What the hell is she talking about? Let's talk to her.
None of the executives, not even the highs.
She already said no one.
After all of these years of you being this entertainer, this star talent, this rainmaker for Bravo, that you never had an email, a phone call, or a conversation. That's just absolutely shocking to me. That went dark.
That's because you're white.
I find it very difficult to believe.
Oh, so now are you halfway calling her a liar?
Who orders the food?
It's totally believable. Are you listening to what the woman fucking said to you, Bethany?
So are we going to do this over the phone, and I'm going to continue the office so I can look you in the eyes?
So you come in the office, and how can we work this out? What can we do?
First of all, the very first thing I want, I probably have a sign on my forehead that says fair treatment. I want fair treatment.
But how can they treat you fairly now when you don't want to treat you like now?
Oh, well, I don't work there now. I mean,
Would you like to work there? Would you like to get a gig on TV with them?
I can't say that I would. I can't say that I would.
Well, you have to ask for what you want because the universe might bring it. So what is it that you actually want?
What I want, I wouldn't say it here.
You want some fair compensation for lost wages, I assume.
There's a lot I want.
Okay. There's a lot you want. Okay.
And I think that they can do it. And
Okay.
the first thing is, as I said before, is fair treatment across the board. Okay. And the things that are more important, a union would be great. But I know those are the things that they can't just make happen overnight. But it would be great to have support in trying to get a union for reality.
Well, that is SAG-AFTRA has backed what we're doing and said that they are ready. You can call them. I can give you the top of the to the heap, give you the contact to get what you need. But I would say to Bravo, if they called me, we're going to sit down and negotiate what should be in everyone's contracts moving forward. Here are some terms. Here's some boilerplate language that should be in everyone's contracts moving forward. And I did kind of lay out 10 terms as a starting point to say, if a person comes in at this level, this is the minimum wage. And if they go on another season, and if the show gets picked up, and but there is a systemic problem. It's great that they said we're sorry that we're going to get people a psychologist and that we're going to look at alcohol consumption. But what they need to be saying is the whole industry can't be exploiting our content on streamers that we never even knew would exist. I never knew Hey You was going to come on Amazon and Prime and sell. They hack up the chicken 10,000 ways. I'm wings, your broth, we're stock. I mean, they've got this fucking thing from $7,250 15 years ago, sold everywhere. And when people say you signed up for that, I signed a contract. I thought we were doing this show on this channel. I didn't know maybe in Australia on different networks.
I totally agree with that. The show is sold everywhere. You see it everywhere. What about the memes?
Well, you talk about the gifts and the memes. Did I get you want to tell them that?
Yeah, the gifts and the memes are insane, and we don't make $1 out of it. Well, not even $1, 1 penny. And I'm probably more memed than any housewife ever.
I agree.
My memes are everywhere, and some of the memes I don't like. Nobody gives a.
And it kills you. You're watching TikToks of you, and
I'm
you're not
watching
getting paid.
people with pictures and memes of my mouth opening, closing, eyes opening, closing, head turned around, and it's really fucked up. And you don't get 1 penny.
And Bravo's still making money off of that.
A ton of money. And the company that I think created the memes sold for $400 million to, I think, Facebook or somebody. It was this company that makes these memes. And
it's their talent
and I don't
it's
get
their
one
product that they sold.
But
So
the thing that's worse for me is my face. And Lord, I don't want to keep saying black child. But my face is everywhere in every meme. I don't see your faces like that. It's my face. And they don't give me 1 penny for that.
I know.
In the episodes that I've been in, they have played 1 trillion times everywhere. And I don't get a penny for that.
I agree. I see you on TikTok, everyone using your sound. I've used them. I did it with my daughter. You're not getting paid for that.
No.
Right, but no one's really acknowledging that it was Bravo's talent, Bravo's product, so they distributed it. They sold it, and so they're still making money off of that. So it's a big issue that will have to get resolved because you're going to see your content. It could be for 100 years. But that is what we signed, and we didn't know how many ways that they would sell it. It's a new world order. We didn't even know what streaming was. There was no Twitter when we started on the Housewives. There was no Twitter. So what do you think of the state of the show today?
I think it is. Well, first of all, I don't watch the show.
Same.
I watch the clips that come down Instagram.
Same.
You know, those little clips.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Atlanta has changed a lot. Actually, they look like they're suffering. The girls don't look entertaining. They just don't look like housewives. I thought when we were on the show, the women were more like higher. I don't know. Everybody just look.
It's boring.
Not only is it boring, the women, who are they and where did they come from and why are they sitting on this show?
Do you think that medium has died? I mean, is it a soap opera now? Is it Days of Our Lives?
It became so big. It became bigger than the show. And I think that they don't want women on the show who are big. If you notice, to me, all the women who are big and who are popular, they figure out how to get all of them off the show. And they leave the girls who are boring and mediocre because they're not a threat. And they're mediocre. Something like that. All the popular girls, the hot girls, and girls that everybody like, they push them off the show. You're too big and you're overshadowing other people who would like to stand in the front.
So what do you want to do, bro? What do you want to do now? If you could have any career, any gig, what would be the top 3 things you want to do now? What do you want?
I'm an actress. And although I fell into reality kind of before my acting, in reality, listen, it opened up a lot of doors for me. It was a great launching platform for me. But I'm an actress. So I would like to act. And that's what I do. I act and I talk and I sing and I dance. And so I would like to do those things.
Well, right now that's on strike. So at least you're in the same boat as everybody else in that industry. So you can like map and chart your course. And are your agents working for you as an actress? Do they think you're going to be able to have a career as an actress?
I hope so. I hope that's why I'm with them because they believe in me and in my talent. You're right. We are on strike right now. But hopefully.
Because that feels like a good new chapter. It feels like at least you're not going back to reality. It's something new. So you got, you feel beaten down. You seem vulnerable. And you seem different to me. You were biting your nails, obviously. You weren't sleeping. I was sleeping. But what were you so scared of? And I feel like you weren't. Did you think I was going to gotcha you? Or like,
no, that's not it. That wasn't ever my fear. My thing is just us sitting here talking about all of this stuff. What other doors have closed? Because, for me, as I said, doors have closed for me at times. Now, I want to be clear that this last year, so there have been opportunities to come to me. But prior to that, doors were closed.
I don't think the doors are going to close. I really don't.
But I hope not, because I don't understand why they do it and why am I not able to work? Why?
All you want to do is work.
All I want to do is work.
So you want to be an actress. What else? Want to do a podcast?
I love talking. I love to do a podcast. I always would love to do a talk show, but I was always forbidden from doing a talk show. I could never do a talk show.
Bravo?
Somebody, I don't know. I could never do a talk show.
What does that mean?
It meant that I could never do a talk show.
Someone told you never do a talk show?
I was never able to do a talk show
Okay.
or do a podcast.
Okay.
Whenever I was in talks to do a talk show or a podcast, it would disappear after a while. We could be talking, talks could be going on really good, and then all of a sudden that opportunity would disappear. And that is not my job.
What mistakes have what have been your biggest mistakes?
Oh, gosh, my biggest mistakes. I have made mistakes as a mother. I think I'm a great.
Thea Washington, she desire everything she got. God don't like pride. He loves humility. So is Bravo the former or the latter? And how is it that Nene deserves to be not working for telling her speaking truth to power? I don't agree with your statement, but all opinions are welcome here. Thank you for joining in the conversation. I'd love if you could expound on this comment. She desire everything she got. God don't like pride. He loves humility. So you're saying that it's prideful to go to HR and tell him that there's a hostile work environment, or that the guy in the cubicle next to you is showing you his private parts? That's hot. That's prideful. It's prideful to go to HR and mention that, you know, the treatment here is causing my freaking brain to go into an anxiety mode where I feel like I need some mental health assistance. That was prideful, recognizing that you need help and asking for it. So it's prideful to have a problem and then talk about the problem and try to get a solution. Oh, I understand. I would love it if you could add to this comment, because I don't agree. Yes, people who speak up are change agents. Whether they ever get the credit, they spark the necessary change. I love it, pretty Miss G. That's true. That is so true. And I guess in a way, Thea's remark might be a little right in that way, because once you do spark something, you're about to get what you got. But I bet her actual desire was to have HR, human resources, do what HR is for and process her complaint and then have something to help with the issue in the workspace. But because her pride, oh my God, we don't want no Black people being too prideful. She needs to be she needs to be grateful. Oh, let's just have her shucking and jiving for massa. Please. I do not subscribe to this belief.
But I think I could have been even better mom. I think I made some mistakes in that area. If you're talking about on the show,
No, you're like in my life. Like, what is it? What, in all these years, you're going back. What do you regret?
I don't have a lot of regrets in my life because for me, anything that I've ever done really wrong, it was always a learning experience for me. So I never really talked about this in my process. It always was like learning things. Oh gosh, if I could, I don't know about my career, but if I could do anything better, I would be a better mom.
Is that because of the stuff going on with your son? Are you blaming yourself?
No, I don't blame myself for it. I worked a lot, and sometimes I think about maybe if I was more. I've always been a worker in some kind of way, and even when my husband was sending me back and forth to Los Angeles to try to become an actor during pilot season, I was leaving my son with my husband so that I could go and try to open up doors of opportunity. And I just, wish that I was maybe I didn't work as much.
Are you connected with your kids now, though? Are you?
Oh, my kids are always been connected. Yes,
you have. So I'm saying you still are being a good mother.
Yeah,
you're able
but
to
I
do it
didn't have
now.
my mom in my life, so I just want to be the best mom because I know what it is to have parents. And I didn't have my mom or father, my biological mom or father in my life. I had my aunt and uncle who were like my parents, but I just know what it means.
So you're working on it now. Like you're even more cognizant of it.
Yeah, and in my career, I just don't know if there's anything that I feel like I just made a mistake. I just don't. Again, the reality thing was something that kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't anything that I was looking for. It fell in my lap. It was a good thing, and it really opened up doors for me.
You miss it?
I can't say that. Now, Housewives miss that.
Like the beginning. You missed the
No,
heyday.
we miss
The beginning.
Housewives is stressful.
I know.
I mean, it's a lot, honestly.
I know.
I mean, people don't know. Like, people see me all the time and say, oh my gosh, would you ever go back on that show? We would really love to see you on there. It's stressful, honestly. And people look at you like, crazy. Like, it's really a lot. I felt like being off the show, I feel like I'm a totally different person now off the show. I feel like I'm more like at ease and more relaxed. I feel like when I was on the show, people would say, shit, my husband could say, we're out of ketchup. And you're like, ketchup! I mean, you're like just screaming about any and everything. Yeah, because it's so stressful. And I miss the trips. I mean,
Well, I don't. It's funny because my entire staff, everybody, didn't see you the way that I've seen you after talking to you this week, seeming vulnerable, more human. Like you're larger than life, and you're this character that's like a tough bitch, and that's what everybody thought was coming in. You know what I mean? They all thought like, oh, I thought just that everything's good with you too. Like you're just so strong and hard. And I think that show and that medium makes us like that. Like, you've got to be.
But I think people who really know me know like I'm really like cool. Like I'm really cool. I'm private. I'm in my own little circle. My circle is small of people. I guess I'm tough when I need to be tough. But even in my relationship, I don't wear the pants. I don't want to wear the pants. I feel like I wear them every day. So, when I
You're a girly girl.
I am. I get with my dude and he can handle everything. The same thing when I was with Ray. You got it. I'm all the way submissive. I don't want to do anything. You can handle everything. And I just think it's just how people see you. And I also think that the show gives people an idea, like they think they know you,
Exactly.
but they really don't.
Exactly.
Know you.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they don't know you. I think that I'm really kind of chill, but I feel like if somebody, they want to get it, like you can get it. Yeah. Like I kind of feel like that. But other than that, I feel like I'm just over here in a shell.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I get it. I think we're misunderstood. I think we're misunderstood.
You are.
And it's been probably 15 years, and we're in our 50s now. So,
Yeah.
What do you think about age and vanity? You're old. You're a grandmother 3 times over. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like it all has to have meaning now? What are we doing with our lives? Like, it's different. Health is more important. You've lost someone. Like, what's your relation? We just used to churn and burn and grind, and it's just different now.
I feel like I am at my best.
You do.
Yes. And I feel like I look my best. I'm at my best. I feel like 50 is the new fucking 35. So, really.
So you're happy. This is a turning
I
point.
think that, this is just, I feel like 50 is good.
I feel like 50 is great and it's
Yeah,
confident.
I feel like it's good. And
it's unapologetic.
There's so many people that's 50 that looks 80. And I feel like I can look in the mirror and still got my same hello. I mean, good morning. I feel good about it. I think I'm doing good. And and I have my grandbabies. I love them. I love them.
They're so sweet. How old
They're
are they?
everything. I have a 11, a 10,
And they're your life?
oh my God. And I have one girl. My girl is everything because I don't have a girl, I have boys. So I love my babies.
And you spoil them?
I can do anything.
Do you feel money noise? Are you give financial anxiety because it's been a couple of years without working?
I think it's natural too. Yeah, I think it's natural. And I think that was done to me to say, you sit over there and you shut your ass up.
And have you been more conservative in spending? Or are you like just more careful?
You know what? I was lucky and I was blessed to have invested in some things that was able to push me through. Had I not made some good investments, I would have been fucked up, honestly.
I'm really sorry. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, finally, your rose and thorn. The rose of your career and thorn. And you can do your life too. But
No, not my life, girl.
Rose of your career. Rose of your career.
The roses. Honestly, being a housewife was definitely a rose. I don't want to act as if it was like the worst time of my life. It actually was a great time when it came to me.
Oh, an opportunity.
It was a great opportunity for me, and the platform couldn't be any greater. You know that better than anybody. I mean, it put me into so many homes and so many offices, and it did so many things for me. So for that, there's definitely a rose. You gotta know that. It's a good thing for me.
Right, two things could be happening at the same time. You could have had a great experience and you were grateful for the experience, as they should be grateful for because you provided for the experience too. But you can also want something different. And are you afraid that, do you have this feeling, because I do, when a parent may not be the best parent, but then you want their approval and you feel badly, do you have a little bit of fear about the Andy part of it? Not like you bit the hand, care that he hates you, or that he's mad at you.
I feel,
Does that make you feel self-conscious?
no, I actually feel sad for a person that doesn't have a forgiving heart. I can be mad with you, but I'm not going to be forever mad with you. I can't carry that grudge and that hatred in my heart forever.
I don't think mad at you.
I don't know. You're right. I do not know. I feel sad for a person that doesn't have a forgiving heart. I feel sad for a person that simply cannot just, and I don't know that this is him or not, but I'm not worried about him.
I don't feel in your heart that everything you're doing is saying is correct.
Yeah, so I can't take it back. I wish I could say something different. I feel it is what it is.
It's not easy to stand up.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's really hard. It's not easy to go against the grain. I heard that 3 different women housewives were saying, none of this affects me because I'm a strong woman, so I handle myself. And it's because they're paid there, they're working there, and I kind of get it. But you got to stand together for what's correct. And it's not easy. It's very difficult to stand up for things.
Yeah, I don't want to be beef.
You just want it to be clean.
I just want to be clean. I've also asked to even, I've tried to find a way for he and I to sit down and talk, but he's never wanted to do that.
So you've called him.
I did call him.
He won't take your phone call.
He has not taken my phone call. And I've also spoken through our reps to just see, this is just to clear the air. Not for anything else, not to be a housewife, not to anything, just to understand him and for him to understand me, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's never wanted to do.
And
it's okay though. I'm not pressuring it or pushing it or anything. Everybody move when they're ready in their time. You know what I mean? So he's not ready, and that's okay.
I get it. I feel badly about that part of it, not because I don't think everything I've said and done is correct.
Right.
I feel badly because of how I envision his mind is perceiving it. Does that make any sense?
Yes,
He's perceiving it as that he represents an institution that has given us opportunities that have been amazing for us, and we do not negate that. But we also work for it. There's been 150 housewives. They haven't all had the same effect as we have. So we should take some credit on our own. But I feel badly for the way that he must think I have fucked him over when it's not about him. It's not even, and I'm not suing anyone. I just said something and a bunch of people reached out and it became a movement of which he is the face of.
Even if you were suing, I believe at some point he would sit down with you.
I am not suing that, and people think that I am. I'm not.
I believe our treatment would be different.
I think the circumstances are different because I wasn't being demoted and I wasn't coming in for a complaint about me.
Right.
Other people, I just said a thing about a reckoning that represented, frankly, the whole industry, not even RHOA and certainly not Andy.
Right.
It's a whole systemic thing. So you were talking about something more specific and micro, and I'm talking about a macro issue. So it's a little different, I think. But I also recognize your struggles as a Black woman. Please believe that I do.
Yeah.
I'm Jonathan Strickland, host of the podcast Tech Stuff. I sat down with Sun Shahani of Surf Air Mobility, which recently went public. We talked about flying in electric planes and regional air mobility. The future of travel doesn't have to include crowded airports, cramped seats, or long road trips. It can be as simple as using an app to book a short-range flight on an electric plane. Learn more on Tech Stuff on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, here's a question. Are you the one who orders the food at work? If so, then you know the drill. It's a whole bunch of needs and requests coming in from everywhere, all piled on top of each other. Make sure it's on time. Make sure it's on budget. Make sure everyone's dietary needs are taken care of. Make sure it comes from a restaurant that will get it right. And that's why you should make sure you use EasyCater. EasyCater is one simple platform with over 100,000 restaurants rated for reliability and on time. Ready before, but I don't know where to start.
People heard about it and knew about it, and they were crucified, not just by their parents, but by the public. So the thorn of it for me is having my family be thrown into something they did not ask to be thrown into. This is what I want to do, not what they wanted to do.
Fascinating. I would never thought you'd say that, but that's interesting too, because that's when I say the exploitation without compensation. The children of reality television aren't compensated, even for future, for college fund, etc. So your kids, you don't know. They could be fucked up with it, without it. You can't know. You're not a genie, but at the very least, they're there because you're there, and they should compensate. Children working who have to have a microphone on them and have to be in the room at a time to have a conversation with mom about something the producers say they have to have a conversation with mom about. That's working. That's why I tell you, because you said it to me, I am right. I very rarely am not open to interpretation for what I'm saying. I am right. They are wrong, because that is a zero-sum game. So I am, for the first time in a really long time, like, I am 100% right. If you don't like it, you think I bit the hand that fed me, I really don't care, because I am right.
It's the truth. It's the truth. You know, I hate when my kids are being, people in the public are talking about them for whatever reason, because they never asked to be in this. Even my husband, when he was alive, if he was anything, they just...
And they won't do it without them. They let you know explicitly they won't do it without them.
No. My husband and kids were very much a part of it.
Interesting.
And we gave our blood, sweat, and tears. We really did.
I will go into the grave saying that you are the most iconic housewife of all time. You are the greatest to play the game.
Thank you.
You are the GOAT. You are the Rushmore. Who would your Rushmore be?
Probably you. Who else is it going to be?
That have two other people, me and you, and who else?
Can't think of too many. Maybe Vicky? Teresa?
That's it. It's kind of spicy.
Uh,
Because you know what I always say about you? It's the 100. You were never, the people that are my goats aren't there just for the hair and the makeup. They may have that, but they get dirty.
Yes.
The people are willing to be unliked, are willing to be unpopular. You have been loved, but you have been unpopular, polarizing. Teresa has been loved, but she has been hated. Like, people, Vicky looked like a lunatic crazy, and maybe I like her, maybe I don't even know. I don't really know her, but I got to give mad respect for someone who's willing to put it all out on the court and be loved and hated, and that's why the goats are the goats, not because they were first, because it's just different when you watch a show. You watch Beverly Hills, everybody's worried about being perfect, being liked. They'll get dirty enough, they get right back into the bath. We went to the mats. We were animals. So, we were animals. So, Nene Leakes.
We probably played the game better than...
What?
We played the game better than anybody.
We played the game better than anybody. Yeah. This is like, Tom Brady and Jordan.
And just by the way, you guys, Bethany had 10 houses on one property to show it, honey.
Okay.
10 houses, girl. And an apple tree.
And an apple tree. And we're planting a peach tree. Okay. So, based on what I'm hearing, because I wasn't there, I wasn't on the show with you. So, for me to know if you were treated unfairly, I do think something shifted in if what you were saying was, you along the way talked about being discriminated against. You wrote emails, you wrote letters, you made phone calls, and then you filed a complaint after you felt that you were demoted and moved out because you felt that you had been treated unfairly with something that you had built. And the intersection of that and me wanting to do a show with you and calling different people and them saying we couldn't get that done, I didn't understand it, to be honest with you, because neither did Paul. I didn't know that you were quote unquote toxic or kryptonite or whatever. Like, I didn't know that. And when I said to agents and when I said to production companies, I want to do the show, they basically gave me a brick wall, and I didn't understand why. So I don't know if it's the press machine, because what we didn't talk about is the Bravo PR machine of that's a big machine that they've been trying to fight against the Reckoning, but the Reckoning is winning. But that PR machine is strong, and you can tell which articles are that machine. It's just the machine, and the microbloggers and all that, no problem. But I will say that I don't know, the universe has treated you unfairly, because that's what I bumped up against. I wasn't watching closely enough to know exactly what the reason was. I just knew that Nene's hysterical. She's talented. We get along. People would die to watch us together. We're hilarious. Put us in an RV anywhere. Put the cameras on right now, and that thing will rate. That's all I knew, and that's why I called you. And I got a roadblock. So that's all that I do now.
So that is, to even get a roadblock is why.
And it hurts you because you're feeling self-conscious, like, what the fuck is everyone saying about me?
But why?
Right.
First of all, why? Because, if you check anywhere that I've ever worked, no one would say that other than this group of people.
Right.
So why would that happen?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because I just thought, I was thinking marketing, I'm thinking about marketing and that we'd be entertaining together. And we still would. And who knows, maybe the thing about 2020 that you have to understand, we're talking about dinosaurs. Okay? It's streamers for old people. We are, if you're in the future, we're sitting here in my basement making our own goddamn content. We've got our own camera here. This is our content. We decide where it goes. It's not going to be edited and chopped up to make us look a certain way. I'm in charge. And I thank you for trusting me to come to my house and sit down and have a real conversation, because this is our decision. We are no longer controlled by anybody else, and they decide when it goes up and how it goes up and what's said and what we can say and what we can't say and when we can't say, who we can work with, when we get to air it, blah, blah, blah. No. So shift, because you get to decide. You can put out your own content. Nene you are so entertaining, and you can be polarizing, you cannot be polarizing. You just put out the honest content and let them decide, but not someone else speaking for you. Not someone else putting what you are out there. So you should just, this is the era of you producing your own content. You don't need anybody else to be in control. That's what I would say. That's what I would say to you.
That's very true.
You get in charge of your own words, talent. No one's going to put your talent in a box.
That's very true.
So that's what I think.
That's very true.
How do you think social media has helped or hurt the show? How has social media affected the whole medium?
You mean
Housewives? Yeah.
I think social media helps. I think social media helps everything.
Well,
by the way, I mean, where would we be without social media? I think it helps. I don't think it helps. I don't.
you should have a podcast and some version of a show.
I should have a podcast. I should have all the things that you have and anybody else has. But as I said before, I was never able to.
Okay. Well, I have a good
And
feeling. I have a feeling that
And I have,
something had to happen for something to happen. I wanted you to talk because if you hadn't talked, then I feel like you're stuck in between. And you got to get out of the riptide. You got to get past the bad set. You got to go back to shore or go out to the big waves. But you can't sit it out.
Yeah.
That's what I think. You got to go get the big waves.
I just do, which is why I'm here.
Yeah.
I was beating myself up about coming.
I know. I
But,
didn't sleep either because I was worried I didn't like
I mean,
waves.
you know, I beat myself up about coming, but I was like, just.
And how do you feel now having done it, having come?
I feel great.
You do?
I feel great. Yeah, no, I don't feel any kind of way. I feel great. Just like you've gotten things that you can't work with me. I've got text messages. Nobody likes Bethany. So I'm human like you, so I feel like you kind of should I come to her show? Should I not? What the hell has she done?
Oh, you and your own wanted to come, but then people were getting in your head and saying things, and you were changing your own gut opinion. Yeah. I mean, you told me your spiritual advisor said
And that you and I were going to be very powerful. And here I am. And we almost dressed as twins.
Okay, you guys. So that was part 1 and part 2 of the Nene Leakes interview with Bethany. I was so glad to be able to bring this to you this morning. I was so glad that this is finally happening. I am all for good reckoning. I am so for abolishing the status quo. I am so for getting out from under these stereotypes and persecution of freaking specifically African Americans and Black people for speaking truth to power and being asked to prove a thing like racism or discrimination as it could be tangible. And I'm glad that Bethany was able to include Nene in something that she started. Nene started it and nothing has happened. Bethany picked it up and now people are listening, and now Nene is being included in the movement that Nene started. And look at that. I want you guys to look at this picture. I am pleasantly surprised that of everybody in the Bravo sphere, the one person that came to Nene's aid is this white woman. The one person that came to Nene's aid ended up being a white woman. The Black women on Nene's show left her like this. The Black women on Nene's show left her like this. Passed her by. Nene had a text with them. Somebody mentioned earlier, say what Candy did. Nene had a text with them and said, let's go to them together. Candy specifically went behind Nene and the rest of the girls back in the group text, approached Bravo on her own, ended up with a production company and many spinoffs, and also said that Nene wasn't telling the truth. Did this to her own sestra. Nene said, hey, look, we're suffering. And society in this case was really, that was Candy acting like she was going to help her. So this was Nene saying, we're suffering, let's get something happening. Candy specifically was like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then Candy was like, oh, well, you do what you need to do. I got to look out for number one. And then this is what happened to Nene. And this white woman, Bethany freaking Frankel, skinny girl herself, is the only one to help Nene's message finally get heard. Isn't that interesting, you guys? Isn't that interesting? Yeah, Nene deserved all of this abuse because she accepted a job. Okay. Yeah, people are so linear in their thinking. And I hope that in your life, Thea, if you are one to, it feels like from your statement, and I kind of feel like overall, people who make statements where they make the obvious victim in something the freaking villain of self-imposed freaking too much pride, not enough humble pie. I kind of feel like that might be because that's where they live their life from. And so they might just be one to take the discrimination, to take the mistreatment. Oh, because I still get paid. Oh, at least I still get this check and I still have this job. You know? But because those people are afraid to have a better treatment in their life, they're afraid to speak up for themselves. So they feel that everybody else should be as afraid as they are to even be seen as prideful. So you better just shut up and eat your bullets. I understand. It's scary out here in this world. A lot of things happening. It is problematic. I cannot fight against ignorance. I have spent so much time explaining to people why that mindset is ignorant and harmful, but you cannot change everything with willful ignorance. I totally agree. You can remain willfully ignorant to your circumstances of being mistreated at a job or some other place where they don't have a right to treat you with mistreatment you. And you can go ahead and take that if you want to, but that's your ignorance for accepting it. That's what I'm feeling. Petty Miss G, once someone is educated on an issue but won't accept the truth, they have graduated from it to stupid, right? Right? Yeah, the interview is out. You would go over to Reality B with Bethany. She has a whole podcast. You can Google Bethany Nene interview. It's everywhere. It's 2 parts, are both released today. And we listened to a lot of part 2. Yeah, we're not calling anybody names, and I really do welcome all comments. However, I do push back against someone who, it's like you weren't listening to what we just heard. So if we're willing to believe what Nene said as her experience, then what we heard was she was mistreated, she spoke up, and period. But if you weren't listening, what you heard was somebody was being prideful, too big for their britches, dug their own grave and bit their nose to spite their face because they thought they were all that. Hey, it doesn't mean we're right or wrong. And there's enough room all right for everybody. I just want to say thank you again for coming through to Larger Curves. We had a lot of people through here. I appreciate Mrs. Petty G. I need you to come back. I love your POV. I loved it. My Canadian friend, Mamere, I appreciate you. I hope you can make it back through along with Minaj and Thea and everybody else who came through today. Thanks for being here. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.